we should be live over on.
You all know why we've come here. The pay.
Not long.
Just gonna go ahead and I'll move this a little bit further toward. There we go. All right. So we stand in the cramped bridge of our one-man dragon ship, in front of the navigational wheel and steering stone. So let's go ahead and move off to the northwest. We see a splendid castle, although it's built more like a fortress. 2 sentries guard the gate to the castle, and path winds around the castle wall. So
I wonder if they play Fortnite.
Maybe. Let's go ahead. Show the ring to oh, hold up. Something happened here.
Oh.
Give me a sec.
You've entered my house.
Something happened here. Let me restart that. Something apparently double-clicked. Alright. Talk to the guards.
Why are you sneaking around on royal grounds, knave? What's your business here?
I'm here to see the king. Would you tell him I'm here?
You and everyone else in the kingdom. Now, if I start making special trips to tell the king you're here, I'll have to do it for everyone else. If you had real business with the king, you'd have an appointment. Now just turn around and go back the way you came.
Yeah, Tim says one-man dragon ship, yep.
You don't understand. The king isn't expecting me, but I've got to see him. His cousin is in danger.
Is he in danger of running out of money? He must be pretty desperate if he's enlisting help from the likes of you. Do you have any proof? A signed note from the Duke? Anything?
Let me think about it.
Sure, you do that. If you pull anything out of the air that supports your story, you be sure and hand it over. Until then, you'd better be on your way.
Alright, well, we do have the signet ring here. Yep. You hand the Duke's ring to the nearest guard. He examines it carefully, then eyes you with suspicion. Somewhat forcefully, he offers to escort you inside. It doesn't seem you have much of a choice, but soon you enter the royal throne room. You stand in front of King Stephen himself. Once a renowned warrior, he's older now but remains a powerful and formidable man. He shuns royal robes in favor of battle armor, as if he's ready to lead his troops to war at any second. He sits comfortably on the throne and looks at you with a light smile. Beside him hovers a brown-robed wizard. Casually introduces himself as Trian, the royal magician, but at the same time watches you warily.
What do we have here? A brigand who's stolen my cousin's signet ring? Someone who has kidnapped the Duke? What do you want from me, ransom? I must warn you, I don't deal with traitors to the crown. It's hard to talk business with someone who's missing a head. Now that we've dispensed with the preliminaries, tell me why you're here.
Tim says King Doctor or King DMV.
Your cousin gave it to me to substantiate my story. If you'll allow me a couple words between threats, I'll relate the facts.
Indulge yourself, my friend. I'm all ears.
Well, it's like this.
You explained that Duke Andrews is rotting in the slave galley on Drevin. You're quick to add that you can't guarantee how long the ship will remain there, and suggest that this king send his forces to rescue the Duke immediately.
I appreciate the information, but there's little I can do. Drevlin is the elves' main source of water. They guard it jealously. My armies wouldn't make it anywhere near the ship that Andrews is trapped aboard. There is another way. If my cousin is out of the elves' clutches, we will be able to free him. Somehow you have a way to get in and out of Drevlin undetected. Return there, get that slave ship to lift off, to go back to the Tribus Empire. I don't know how, but you must do it. Their ships traditionally follow a route through space that I control. We will set an ambush for it. As soon as we see the frigate, we'll box it in. Those ships are usually manned by skeleton crews. We shouldn't have any trouble wresting control. After the ship is ours, we'll bring it here and free all of the slaves on board, including my cousin. You are now my agent. If you are able to pull this off, I'll make it worth your while. I'll inform my men that you represent my authority, just so you won't run into any trouble. We are at war, you know, and my men are very suspicious of potential spies. Good luck, my friend. I hope to see you back here soon.
Alright. Just make sure that... Yep. Oh, the guard's a little less roughly this time. Escort you out of the castle. Alright. So... Go to the west. Take a shear. Yep. And you use the shear on the bar. Open the shutter. Oh! The spell sinks in the tapestry and somehow changes the images. It looks perhaps a bit more real than it did before. Trian walks right into the picture and becomes part of it. He speaks with another figure inside, an elf prisoner in the dungeon, and then departs, both tapestry and the room. The tapestry fades back to a dull imitation of reality, no longer a doorway into another world. So yeah. I think I double-clicked something there, but... Basically what he did was that Trian walked up to a tapestry, he cast a spell, which we learned. So, we have the wine jug. Yep. So what we want to do is we want to use magic on the tapestry and create reality pocket. Yep, suddenly the tapestry becomes a window into a scene instead of just a picture of it, so... Right. Talk to the wizard.
Why would you think that I want to talk to another dirty, stinking human? Why don't you just leave me alone before you start making me angry?
Alright, I'll leave you alone.
Good. Bugger off.
Then we just go ahead and...
In those days, it
It's
was
gooseberry
the curse
wine.
word.
The wizard warily accepts the wine jug from you. It sniffs it and takes a tentative sip before taking it back and taking a few hearty slugs. Afterwards, when he's placed it on the bench, he regards you with a much friendlier expression.
I guess you're not so bad for a human. It wouldn't hurt to pass a little time talking.
Alright.
Great. So, what information is Trian trying to get out of you?
He's
All right,
trying
Max,
to get
sorry about
information about troop movements and
No
war
problem.
strategies. The problem is I don't know anything about those things. I'm not going to tell him that, of course. His hope of getting that information is the only thing that keeps me alive.
So, you're a wizard, huh?
Of course I am. I'm only of the 4th house, but it makes me formidable nonetheless. If I hadn't been distracted by that serving wench, Trian would never have gotten the drop on me.
If you're so powerful, why haven't you escaped?
Every time Trian casts the Create Reality Pocket spell, he summons this cell from the Otherwhere. After he leaves, the cell is cast adrift back into the Otherwhere. It's impossible to make that connection from this side. Even if I could break through these bars, I wouldn't be able to leave the cell until Trian returned and reestablished the link. At that point, he would keep me from escaping.
Can you teach me any spells?
Interested in magic, eh? I don't reveal my secrets to just anyone, you understand, especially not to humans.
He gives you an appraising look as if hatching a devious idea. You decide to change the subject.
If you hate this dungeon so much, can't you use your magic to change it?
Well, if I could get out of these bars, I'd probably douse that glow lamp on the wall. It's impossible to get any sleep with the lamp always shining in my eyes. In order to remove the glow spell that's on it, I'd have to create a shroud of darkness and place it over the lamp, and it's out of reach.
He signs and leads back on the bench.
How exactly does that Shroud of Darkness spell go?
Come here, I'll show you. Now, first you need a black cloth. The color is important because black absorbs all light. When you place the prepared cloth over the glowing object, the cloth is going to do just that, absorb the light, albeit to an even greater extent. Then you cast the Shroud of Darkness spell upon it, like so.
His hands cut gracefully through the air, tracing a glowing magic rune structure. Watch entranced as the spell takes shape. The wizard completes the structure, hanging it in the air, and you study it intently. Focused on memorizing the spell, you fail to observe the wizard's hands slipping into motion again. Suddenly, his hands grab yours, and he jerks you out of the trance. Another spell hangs in the air. Benignly, as the first spell fades away, the new spell begins to take effect. You are now staring at the new rune construct in confusion, your hand locked in his iron grip, when you notice the tingling sensation spread through your body. A thunderclap later, and you notice you are looking at the floating the spell from the other side. Immediately, the wizard releases your hand, and through the bars, you see him race out of the room laughing. The spell fades, and you realize that the wizard used his magic to swap positions with you. You are now the prisoner in the cell, and he is free. You drop heavily to the bench. After hours of waiting, Trian walks into the cell. Seeing you sitting on the benches stops him in his tracks. You clear your throat and explain what has transpired. He listens intently, and after a moment of thought, decides to free you. Trian escorts you to his personal chamber and explains that he was keeping the wizard's secret from the king, so he cannot report the escape. He tells you to forget that you ever saw him and asks you to leave the same way you entered. Trian walks out the door and locks it behind him. You get 10 points, but we have now learned 2 new spells. We've got Shroud of Darkness and Swap. So, then we'll cancel that.
Good thing you're a human, or else he would not let you go.
Yeah.
It looked human anyway.
Well, anyway, oh, hang on. There's a few things we forgot to do. Yoink! We need to grab that. And we need a book. So, now we go back. See, what's this? Yep, Tower of the Brotherhood. The Sterearchs. At the risk of sounding immodest, no society of wizards since the ancient Sartan has gathered more knowledge or commanded such power. We are once called, I think. Indeed, other wizards have begun to view us as a threat. Because of this, and for other reasons as well, we have decided to move into the Higher Realm. There, we will be able to focus our attention on learning. We will be free from the petty concerns that dominate the minds of those who have enslaved themselves to war. To this end, it was necessary to construct ships, procure cargo and supplies, and obtain building materials for our new cities. Some of the needed supplies were scarce, others were illicit, or under the control of the elves, with whom ourselves are currently at war. Thus, we were forced to rely on the trade and contraband. The smuggling trade is regulated by an organization called the Brotherhood, which rules over the trading routes with an iron fist. Our decision to make use of the Brotherhood was a difficult one, but we were left with no other alternative. For the first time in history, we needed help.
Brotherhood of Steel?
The Brotherhood is a guild of assassins, but its membership wields enormous political power through their connections to people placed at the highest level of government. Their reputation is spotless, and I have never known of a contract that wasn't eventually executed, so to speak. Given this, it's understandable that their services do not come cheap. Over the course of thousands of years, the Brotherhood has amassed a fortune sufficient in size to buy and sell most kingdoms a few times over. Additionally, the money comes relics, treasures, and information, surpassing the wildest dreams of any library or museum. But when it came to safeguarding these precious possessions, the Brotherhood turned to us. They sought our assistance in the creation of a magical fortress, which their operations could be centralized and their treasures stored. At the time, after much debate, we sent them packing, only to ultimately discover some advantage in assisting them. The Brotherhood had exactly what we needed, limitless funds and strong connections in every market. Not only were they willing to give us enough to buy 10 times what we required, they would make elusive suppliers available to us. So we agreed. From the beginning, many of us viewed the task as an intellectual challenge. The magics required to build such a fortress would involve spell merges and constructs hitherto unknown. We would see it as a way to increase our knowledge and enhance abilities. It was a deal with the devil, of course, but never before had we been able to concentrate so many diverse talents on a single goal. The potential for unparalleled growth was enormous. The construction itself was relatively simple. We incorporated enough secret passages and magic portals into the fortress to keep even the most paranoid assassin happy. Merely to open the front door requires an intricate and exhaustive ritual. The door could have been made easier to operate while equally secure, but members of the Brotherhood wanted the doorway to feel complex. Ah well. They're the ones who now had to remember half a page of nonsense gestures simply to enter their home. The most interesting part of the project was the Vault. The Brotherhood's ongoing quest to gather all the Sartan artifacts in the realm had left them with a number of priceless pieces. One of our top priorities was to build a storage room to house them, something completely secure. We thought long and hard about the best way to protect their treasures, and eventually we agreed that the safest place to put them was the Otherwhere. The Otherwhere is a place between realities, a place of possibilities only. Every possibility exists there, however remote. That's what a wizard draws upon when he casts a spell. Say, for example, he wants to create a light in a dark room. In the Otherwhere, the possibility exists that the room is already lit. With the spell, he bends this possibility into reality until the room is lit. All magic is merely the changing of reality by capitalizing on a possibility that already exists. Every creative idea exists somewhere. When an artist dreams of something new, he makes a pocket in the Otherwhere that holds his idea. The possibility that exists in this reality, however remote, is never nothing. Every painting, every picture is a window into the Otherwhere. It was this property that we decided to use. Specialized magic allows us to put real things into the Otherwhere and summon them out again. The simplest form of this magic is the Create Reality Pocket spell, although this name is a misnomer. It does not actually create a reality pocket, it merely causes a picture to become a bridge or passageway to the pocket that already exists inside the Otherwhere. Many wizards already use the spell to store items in the Otherwhere using a painting large enough to walk through. The Brotherhood's vault was designed to function as a step beyond this. We constructed a special chamber in the tower called the Vault. Most of the room, all except the platform in the center, was intended to house the Brotherhood's treasure. The platform was to serve as the room's safe area, the place where the complex spells eventually were going to be cast, and from where they would be summoned and banished. The chamber was filled with the treasure, and 5 Mysteriogs took to the platform. Working in concert, they magicked the portal to the Otherwhere. Using the Reality Pocket spell, this portal was permanent. Everything in the chamber not upon the warded platform in the center was transported to the Otherwhere. Naturally, the Brotherhood wanted to be able to retrieve their treasure, and they lacked the magic ability to summon it back themselves, so we created a link in the spell, a set of key crystals. While these crystals are in place, they break the spell, much like a hand can interrupt the beam of sunlight. Everything previously banished to the Otherwhere will materialize and remain until the crystals are removed. Remember this is important. We constructed a pedestal inside the warded platform. When the crystals are placed in this pedestal, they will unlock the spell and summon the treasure. The Brotherhood found this solution acceptable, but decided to add a further level of security as well. The treasure chamber was hidden behind a wall covered with carved handprints, each handprint inlaid with a different material, usually gemstones, to distinguish them from one another. When these handprints are pressed in a certain order, the wall will open. We constructed the wall based on their specifications and made some further recommendations. The correct sequence would open to the wall did not have to be the same one all of the time. We added a method to change the sequence based on the time of month. Of course, we left the actual entry codes up to the Brotherhood, who wanted the entry codes to remain a secret, even from us. The Brotherhood trusts no one. I believe that had they been powerful enough to eliminate everyone associated with the construction, they would have done so. Only the fact that it was intended to leave the Mid-Realms made the Brotherhood rest easy. I surmised that if they knew that this text existed, they would stop at nothing to destroy it. So, a little bit of an info dump, but it does have some very important information we're going to need to remember. Anyway, so let's use the steering wheel and let's head back to Drevlin. Alright. We need to go back and speak to Lembeck. Here, have a candle holder.
Please, I'm having quite a bit of trouble with this speech. The last thing it needs is that.
No, I
This
said...
is much better than the pipe I was using. It's very thoughtful of you to offer it.
He gingerly removes the candle from the straight pipe, hands the pipe over to you to hold, and jams the candle into the holder. Enthralled, he sits it down on the corner of the table, admiring the holder and completely forgetting about the pipe. Alright. Well, so we got the... Let's see. I want to go back here. On the sensor, yep. Oh. Let's cast heat on the sensor again. Yep. So we'll want to go back over here. We'll want to go in here. And now, want to create the Shroud of Darkness on the black shirt. As you weave the spell around the shirt, the light around you dims as if the shirt was drawing it in. When the spell is completed, you can only make out the vague shape of the shirt, but none of its features. It looks like a hole in the air. Now we just go ahead and we throw the black shirt over the figurines. Magic of the Shroud draws the light from the statuettes into itself until they remain dull and gray. Since it's the magic on the figurines that maintains the glow effect on the gods, the instant the magic disappears, so does the elves' spell. They quickly realize their situation, and they bolt back for the ship. The dwarves, seeing their gods without their glow, quickly form a lynch mob. They chase the hapless elves out of the caves, bellowing rather imaginative and graphic threats of violence. The noise causes the sleeping wizard to stir. To keep from being discovered, you dive out of his quarters onto the ship's deck.
Hide in the storeroom. They'll kill you if they find you here.
Yep, from the deck you hear the scuffling of the elves as they board the ship. He points to a hidden door out in the back of the galley off to the west. You slip through a hidden door in the rear of the galley. The ship's hold is fairly barren. Only a few boxes and bundles lie on the floor. You hear some scuffling and shouted orders from the galley. Soon the ship breaks away from its moorings and lifts off. A deep voice booms from somewhere near the door that the ship is entering human-controlled space. All lights must be doused and all noise cease. If the humans discover the ship's exact position, it could be taken. But, let's see what we got here. Go ahead. Open the box. We rip open one of the larger boxes. Inside we find a strange device with 3 metal claws, which crackle with electricity. A switch has been wired to its base. You shove the flimsy remains of the box to the side. Alright. So, we got that. Can't break it with the shear. Yeah, the shear's too rusty and too thin to withstand such an activity. If you try to snap open the lock with the shear, chances are it won't be the lock that breaks. Activate the zinger. Oh. Right, no. Take it. Okay. Carefully, you pick up the electric zinger. It tingles a bit, but does not deliver the shock you expected. Let's turn it on. You pull the switch attached to the electric zinger. As soon as the connection's made, the whole contraption flies out of your hands, bouncing off the walls and throwing sparks every goddamn where. Evidently, the light and sound pouring through the portholes was enough to attract the attention of King Stephen's forces. They surround the ship mid-flight, board her, and take the captured vessel back to the castle.
Congratulations. You actually succeeded. I didn't expect it, but I am pleased. Andrews and his men are safe. My thanks, friend.
Not only did you get your cousin back safely, but now you have an elven ship. I think you made out pretty well.
Very true. That elven ship will certainly come in handy, especially to infiltrate elven-controlled lands. You've proven your worth.
Wasn't there something about making it worth my while?
You're correct. I'm not one to forget my promises when it suits me. What do you want?
Perhaps you could just supply some information.
Certainly. Tell me what you'd like to know.
So you relate your experiences on Drevlin and explain that you're looking for an artifact that the Kixie Winsey had buried somewhere. If it's true, only the Kixie Winsey can dig it back up.
I'm not sure how I can help you there. Even my learned wizard knows precious little about the Kixie-Winzy. There is something I might be able to offer, though. The Kixie-Winzy is an ancient Sartan artifact. Only the Sartan knew exactly what it did and how to control it. Since they disappeared ages ago, all that remains are the books and documents they left behind, but they are very scarce. In fact, the only place you can find them is in the Tower of the Brotherhood.
What's the Brotherhood?
The Brotherhood is a guild of assassins. They pride themselves on the completeness of their library. They've gathered information from every corner of Arianis. This includes all of the Sartan artifacts they could find. No other collection exists anywhere. If documents exist that discuss the function of the Kixie-Winzy, they're in their tower.
Where is the tower located?
That's a problem. The tower is located in Skirvash, a smuggler's haven that lies on the border of Elven and human lands. No nation governs that city. It's completely lawless. The Brotherhood has an iron grip on the place. Neither we nor the elves have been able to get a toehold. Skirvash is a haven for criminals and cutthroats. It wouldn't be a problem, once there, to go about your business unnoticed. People go there for the anonymity. The problem is getting you there in the first place. Currently, the elves control space around that area. I can't sneak anyone in or out. Any ship with the markings of the Royal Fleet is attacked before it even gets near the city.
What about that elven ship I just delivered to you? Couldn't that sneak me into Skirvash?
Yes, that's true. We've never had our hands on an elven ship before. They certainly wouldn't be expecting it, especially so soon after its capture. They'd have no reason to stop it from reaching Skirvash.
Very well. It looks like my only alternative. Let's get going.
Very well. I will staff the elven ship with my own soldiers. They will fly the ship to Skirvash and wait there while you search for your documents. When you have completed your business, they will escort you back to Drevlin. I will assume that this clears me of my debt to you. I wish you luck, friend.
Alright, and sure enough, we now head to Skirvash. You leave the king's castle, reboard the elven frigate, and discover it's already manned by soldiers from the Royal Army. A no-nonsense sergeant greets you and signals the others to lift off. Was you about to say something?
No, I was just agreeing, that's all.
Within a few hours, you leave behind all sign of human habitation on any of the floating landmasses. The only ships you see are of elven design. They let you pass unmolested, mistaking your ship for a member of their fleet. Soon, the sergeant points out a dark city on one of the floating islands. The ship glides toward it, but lands a couple of miles away.
We don't want to
Yeah, it's
answer
still
any
the same
questions
ship
at the
that goes
regular
there.
port, such as why King Stephen's men are flying an elven frigate. Better you get a little exercise and walk into town.
Yep.
Come back when you've finished your business, and make it quick. Just being around elven space makes me nervous, but waiting so close to the Brotherhood is downright terrifying.
Alright. I don't think there's anything we can do with this box here. Alright.
Anyway, on your return, you can open it.
Probably. Alright, let's head north. The Tower of the Brotherhood looms over a plaza flanked by a tavern and an alley. A child quietly plays off to one side. Look at... Oop. Boy watches his wooden doll walking in circles around the plaza. After wandering around, it happily strolls into the dark alley. Boy steps toward it but stops, appearing terrified. He looks up at you with pleading eyes.
Oh, sir, would you please get my doll back? I couldn't possibly go in there. It's far too dark and scary.
Of course I'll help you, lad. Wait here.
The wave smiles and gives you a look of such gratitude that you feel you've made the right decision. With an intake of breath to bolster your courage, you turn toward the dark alley. You wander into the dark alley, chasing after the scuttling toy. Its tiny legs don't move particularly fast, so catching it is not a problem. When you pick it up, you catch a glimpse of rune markings carved into the wood, but before you get a chance to examine them further, a heavy rope net falls from the shadows. The child, who not a moment ago was crying over his lost toy, jumps on top of you and beats you relentlessly with an iron bar until you collapse upon the ground. He starts to rifle through your trophy, grabbing any object he discovers. So what we want to do is we want to use magic on the street rat, and... Oops, no, we don't want to create a shroud of darkness on him. We want to swap places with him.
Got you little shit.
While the young thief paws through your valuables, you take the opportunity to hang the swap spell in the air, and grab onto his searching hand. His eyes grow wide as the spell takes hold. With an explosion of air, you and the street rat switch positions. He crouches on the ground, trapped inside of the heavy net, while you stand above him. The street rat looks up at you in amazement, seemingly surprisingly unafraid, but a little desperate.
You're a wizard! A wizard hasn't been seen in Skirvash since far before I was born. Why are you here?
Never mind about me. Who exactly are you? And don't give me the helpless waif story again.
I'm not helpless. But I am without parents, if that's what you're asking. I've carved out a life for myself from the streets. I use scams like this one to stay alive. I know all of the dark and secret corners of Skirvash. If you're here looking for something, you'll need a guide. I can help. If you're new to this town, you'll get nowhere without me. Let me go, and I'll help you.
Sure, I've got no reason not to trust you.
Sure. I've got no reason not to trust you. You just led me into a trap and tried to steal everything I had.
That's what I do. You look like an easy mark, so I tried to shake you down. Now that I know you're a wizard, I'd be a fool to turn on you. My offer stands. Release me, and I'll help you.
Alright, so talk to him again. Look at the doll. Let's, look at the doll. Yep, doll is carved from woods. Vaguely human, has 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head, but lacks any specific identifying features. A rune structure's been carved into the back, and you assume that it's the spell that keeps it moving. Alright, so, do we have... No.
Let me out. I'm willing to deal. You'll never get into the tower without my help. Trust me, no one would cross a wizard.
Take the net. Yep. You lift the net off the child. Some hidden pulleys draw it high up into the shadows of the valley. But true to his word, the street rat does not run off. Instead, he wanders down an alley and flips aside a greasy blanket to reveal a hole in the wall. He enters and motions to you to do the same. Alright. Let's go ahead and take the pry bar. You snatch the iron bar from the ground. It's no stranger as the street rat formally introduced it to your face back in the alley. When the boy sees that you've taken it, he starts to say something but stops and looks very embarrassed, so let's talk to him.
I'm willing to help you. But first I want to know what the job is, and what's in it for me.
Maybe that should depend on how much help you are.
Do you have the contacts? Do you know the city? Personally, I can't imagine you pulling off anything without me. If you're going after what I think you are, you won't have a prayer. All I want is a cut. I don't think that's too unreasonable.
What do you think this job is?
It seems to me that there's only one target worth the attention of a wizard. You're intending to break into the Tower of the Brotherhood. You must know that no one has ever made it into the tower and back out alive. You might not know how many have tried.
For a waif, he's actually a pretty smart kid.
Rumors of the Brotherhood's treasure have spread throughout the
You're
realms.
pretty smart when you have to fend for
Thieves,
yourself.
from third-rate pickpockets to practiced artists have attempted to steal it.
You'd have to be.
Usually, the less talented ones are turned away at the front of the tower. There is no obvious way to get in. Only the members of the Brotherhood know how to enter. Some make it inside. Every few months, a new body is found in the town square, the result of another robbery attempt. Usually, the Brotherhood takes care of its own disposal, but these bodies are left as messages to every other would-be thief. In short, no one has ever succeeded. If this is your plan, you're going to need my help. Even a small cut of the tower's famed treasure would set me up for life.
How much of a cut do you want?
Whatever you think is fair. I need to start a new life, and I'm going to need money to do it. Any portion of what I think your haul is going to be will set me up.
All right, I'll give you what you want. What can you tell me about this town? How can you help?
What do you need to know?
Alright.
Who are your contacts? What do they have to offer?
I know someone who was once a member and knows the entire layout. Undoubtedly, he'll be able to give me some vital information. I also know a talented craftsman who can forge any specialized tools that you may need. Unfortunately, both of those people are going to ask for a lot of money. Unless you've got a stash that I couldn't find, you're going to have to come up with some.
Alright.
What is the Brotherhood? What does it do?
You must know about the Brotherhood. At least you must have heard about them. The Brotherhood is a guild, much like craftsmen or merchant guilds, only it is a fellowship of skilled assassins. Whenever you want someone dead, for sure, take out a contract with the Brotherhood. Their information network reaches into all the nations, human and elven. In fact, the Brotherhood is the only guild that employs all races without prejudice, even in times of war.
Tim says Ubisoft is nervously sweating over there.
How do you get inside the tower?
I don't know the method that the members used to get into the tower. I've examined the exterior, and I haven't found any entrance. But I've thought about this. Only the members of the Brotherhood can get in, so the answer is to become a member of the Brotherhood. You're new. Nobody knows you. You might be able to pull off something like this. As it happens, an assassin, a member of the Brotherhood, hangs out at the Devil's Workshop. His name is Hugh the Hand, and he's actively recruiting. It's not easy to catch his eye, and harder to have him sponsor you.
How do I get this Hugh the Hand to sponsor me?
Hugh is looking for only the most talented thieves and murderers. You'll have to do something extravagant to catch his eye. What that may be, I don't know. Perhaps if you stole something rare or valuable.
What exactly is the Devil's Workshop?
It's a tavern in the center of town. Low-life scum throughout Skirvash collect there to meet contacts, do business, and get drunk. In fact, the workshop's bartender is the most successful fence in town. The fastest and cleanest way to unload stolen merchandise is by selling it to him.
All right, that's all I need. I'm ready to go.
Very well. In order to help you any more, I'm going to need some upfront money. If you get some, bring it here, and I'll get to work on getting the information and tools that you'll need once you're inside the tower. Good luck!
Alright. So let's go ahead and head back to the pry bar, break the lock. Yep, you slip the pry bar between the lock and the strongbox lid. With a firm twist in the grunt, you break the lock and pieces fall to the ground. You flip open the strongbox to reveal a sack of gems and a tea pipe. So we want the contents, we want the tea pipe, and we want the jewel sack. So we're going to head back to town. Going to head into the bar and talk to the bartender.
Yes? How can I help you?
I've got something that I want to sell.
I'd be happy to take a look at it. Let me see. These are dwarven relics. Where did you steal these? They'd be worth more if there wasn't a glut of dwarven artifacts right now.
Yep. Yeah, Blob and Sack of jewel. Yep. He scans the room as if challenging anyone to call him a liar. Yep.
I'm a little short of funds just now. This is all I can afford for them.
He begins to stack coins onto the bar. As he does so, all the eyes in the room are on you, including those of the dark figure in the corner who's been studying this entire exchange. As you pocket the money, the dark figure mentions you over.
Well, that's a very impressive haul. Dwarven relics, eh? Even I would have a tough time coming by something that rare.
I admit it took a little doing.
I like you. You don't reveal too much in casual conversation. Let me introduce myself. My name is Hugh the Hand. I represent the Brotherhood, and I'm currently recruiting new members. I'm impressed by your style. Would you be interested in joining?
Boy, howdy.
Of course I'm interested. What low-life cutthroat wouldn't be?
Very good. Now you are still very unproven. The theft of the dwarven artifacts was enough to draw my eye, but you're not blooded. I'm going to require a contract before I can apprentice you.
Who's the target?
There is a merchant who lives on the edge of town. He has angered the Brotherhood. He's overstepped his authority and must be eliminated in order to set an example for the rest of his kind. Do you understand?
Do you have any information about this man?
Certainly. Most importantly, you should know that he wears an amulet. It is magic and protects him from all harm. Also, you should know that he knows that the Brotherhood is out to eliminate him. We've already tried once unsuccessfully. Since then, he's taken some precautions. He's had the front door reinforced and the lock changed as well. We believe that he's currently holed up there in the house.
A magic amulet that protects him from harm? Won't that make killing him rather difficult?
Yes. The fact that he is never without it might hamper you as well. Consider this a true test of your skills.
If he lives in such a fortress, how do you expect me to get inside?
Isn't that what you do? Break in. I'm sure you've had more difficult jobs than this.
Anything else I should know about this merchant?
There are rumors that he keeps a secret journal. I'm not sure how that would help you, since I'm asking you to kill him, not investigate him.
All right, let's get on with this.
Very well. Will there be anything else before you leave?
Where can I find him?
His house is not hard to find. It is the most expensive house in town. Follow the road to the southeast. You'll come across it soon.
What should I do after I finish the job?
I will require proof that you have eliminated him. Since he's said that he would die before being separated from his amulet, I believe that that will suffice. When you have finished, bring the amulet here to me. That should be enough.
All right, I'm on the job.
Very good. Remember, when you have finished, bring back his amulet. That will be proof enough of his death. Please, don't insult me by running away. It would be such a bother to track you down and kill you.
Alright, fair enough. So we want to go ahead and enter back the tunnel. Give the money to the street rat.
With this money, I can get the items we need.
And before you can say a word, he grabs your pile of cash and runs the fuck away. Or go ahead and we'll wait.
I got him. The information and the lockpick.
Alright.
Tell me about this lockpick.
It's custom. There's never been another made like it. Look at it. The lockpick has been designed to open any type of lock, no matter how complex.
You take the bizarre instrument from the street rat and roll it round and round into your hand. Twisted prongs stick out from a rounded base.
Only one of the prongs will fit into each lock. Once you've placed that prong inside the keyhole, you'll be able to move it certain ways. Each movement will make a specific sound. According to the locksmith, the lockpick will make a distinct sequence of 3 noises before the lock springs. He didn't tell me what that series of sounds was, but he said it would be the same for every lock.
Tell me about the information.
I bought it from an ex-member of the Brotherhood. He claims that this parchment contains the codes to open the tower's treasure room. There's no way to verify it without actually getting inside the tower, so I had to buy it at face value. I don't really understand it anyway. I have no idea what the first line, "Buy their time to die," means. The second line is a list of continents above Skirvash that partially obscure the sun throughout the month. We can't see which one it is at this time of day because the sun is behind the tower. Overall, I don't know how to use this information, but it might come in handy.
How much did it all cost?
As I suspected, it cost everything I had. Sorry there's no change.
Oh, well.
What can you tell me about the wealthy merchant on the edge of town?
He was the most prominent and successful merchant in town until a couple of weeks ago. Then he just dropped out of sight. Rumor had it that he had a run-in with the Brotherhood. Maybe it had something to do with the stiff taxes the Brotherhood places on any transaction in Skirvash. I always thought that he'd be safe from the Brotherhood. He has a magic amulet that keeps him from harm, and he's never without it. That's about all I know, except I heard that he keeps a journal hidden away inside his house. I hope that helps, although I can't imagine how.
Good work. Expensive, but good. I'll take it from here.
Thank you. I think you'll find that in the long run, it will be worth far more than what you paid.
Alright. So now what we want to go ahead and do is we want to head to the merchant's house. We want to go southeast.
Maybe you should save in case you double-click something again.
Alright, yeah, not a bad idea. Alright. This house looks expensive, more so than even its closest neighbors, but it's also abandoned, so we want this crazy-ass lockpick. Put it in the lock. So we want to push the lock. Want to jiggle the lock. Then we want to turn the lock. Yep. So now we want to go ahead and head inside. Take the poetry book and read it. Oops. Said we want to read it. Love poems. She lifts the mist from the morn. She breathes the first air of the day. She flies toward the rise as she's born, but dies before she's away. Hate poems. I'll take that poetry book and I'll read it, says Dem. When time comes for wine, she doth linger, and trails her hand in the stream. She knows as it flows through her fingers, it's far deeper than it seems. Because of the rare time she toils, she wears down mountains in her path. The friends she depends are loyal, but all else should fear her wrath. She sings of all things in her course, the rustle of leaves is her song. Betrayed by the shade of the forest, time when dark fall sees her gone. Alright, so, look at the clock. It's strange that the clock was left here when all other furnishings were taken. Closer examination reveals that the clock is bolted to the mantle. You also see that the only moving part is its one hand. It has no winding key, no gears, nor wheels, and therefore, as far as you tell, no way to keep time. Tim, I kill 2 elves in the morning, I kill 2 elves at night, I kill 2 elves in the afternoon, and then I feel alright. Alright. So move the hand of the clock so that it points to the left to wine time, toll time, and dark time. So, let's see, yep. Wine time, toll time. Ew. Nothing happens, okay. Let's see, yep. Huh. So. Wine time. Toil time. Dark time. Hey, Jay.
Hey, Jordan.
Should be that. I think I need to know. Okay, so I think we need to do this one first. Then this one. Then this one. There we go. Yet one of the stones surrounding the fireplace pops open. Inside the compartment, you discover a leather-bound journal. My goodness, just look at the time, says Tim. Take the journal. First entry. I'm not used to keeping a journal, but my thoughts are in turmoil, and I have no one to talk with about them. I figured that by writing down my feelings, I may be able to sort through them. Put simply, I've met a woman. She is incredible. She's beautiful, rich and well-bred. The perfect match for me. I saw her in the gardens. I was sitting at the fountain looking over the flowers, and she said in a melodious voice, "Everything here is so beautiful. I love it so much." She breathed heavily and pouted. She was so cute that I had to approach. I snuck up behind her and whispered, "How much?" She looked rather startled, but recovered nicely, obviously recognizing me as the most successful merchant in the city. "The garden takes me away from my horrible life," she replied. "I loved it more than anything, truth be told." "That was before you met me," I stated. She giggled, and at that moment I knew she was for me. I've never met anyone I've reacted to so strongly. I must have her. Normally women pursue me. I am the most successful merchant in the city, and the notoriety of my magic amulet is widespread. But I've never invested so much of myself in one woman. If she won't have me, I don't know what I'll do. Later. 7th entry. Every time I see her, I yearn to spend more and more time with her. We started meeting at the old stream where I played when I was a child. It makes me so happy to show her my old haunts. Taking her across the stepping stones was an absolute joy. She would only walk across while holding my hand, as she was terrified of getting her dress wet. Every step took her further away from the shore, and by the 5th, the last, she collapsed in my arms. I'll have to take her back here more often. 11th entry. Deidre is beginning to open up to me. Her life, although not quite the horror story she believes it to be, has been hard. Her father died when she was young, and her mother remarried a cruel man who tries to control her life. He doesn't care about her. He only thinks about her dowry, what she is worth. He wants to only preserve her value as a marriage object. She doesn't remember much about her real father. She does recall that he used to read her bedtime stories when she was very young. One especially caught her fancy, the Bouncing Beans. When I told her that I read the same story long ago, she smiled so sweetly that it warmed my whole day. I must have her as my wife, regardless of her penny-pinching stepfather. He may ask for the world, but I will pay it. 20th entry. Her stepfather has cloistered her away. It was obviously his plan to allow her to be with me just long enough to whet my interest. Now that the relationship has progressed, he snatched her off and is demanding a wedding. I certainly don't mind the idea of a wedding. I've made that decision long ago, but I do object to his keeping me away from her while he decides what the dowry will be. Undoubtedly, he's poring over financial records, trying to calculate how much he can safely gouge out of me. All I can do is wait. This waiting is driving me mad. I can't concentrate on my business. I'm useless for any task. I've repeatedly asked her stepfather if he's come to a decision, and each time he sends me away without an answer. The last time he bellowed that he would send a messenger when his decision was made, and I should stop bothering him in the meantime. What can I do? I wait and I wait. Since I cannot do my job, I've decided to commission a portrait, if only to use up some time while I await the messenger. Naturally, I've hired Leonard Baggish. His reputation for excellence is widespread throughout the realms. He is due to arrive in the next few days. The portrait goes well. Leonard has lived up to his reputation, but the endless hours of sitting do not take my mind off my prospective bride. Instead, the modeling just gives me more time to dwell on missing her. I expect the messenger any day now. According to her stepfather, I'm to give the dowry directly to the messenger. Only after he delivers it will I see my darling Deidre again. I argued about handing over what I expected over to be a fortune to a stranger, so we agreed that the messenger would identify himself with a few facts that only my fiancée and I know. Then again, I would have agreed to anything to hurry the old coot up. The painting is done and the messenger still has not arrived. I wonder if that man realizes the pain he's putting me through, or even if he cares. The messenger has finally arrived. After confirming his identity, I gratefully handed over the obscene sum that Deidre's stepfather demanded. It will take quite a few years to regain that amount, but any amount would be worth it to end my torment. Deidre is due here at any time, so I must end this. And the 72nd entry, I finally confronted the Brotherhood about the unfair taxes which they levy against this town. They act as if they own Skirvash. They've been a thorn in my side since I arrived here. Thus far, I've given them no reason for taking action against me, but now I'm a little worried that I may have provoked them with my talk about unfair taxes. I can only hope that my amulet will keep them at bay. I'm certain of it now, they're after me. I've replaced the lock on my door the best I could find, and it didn't stop last night's intruder. If not for my amulet, I would have been dead. I'm getting out of here. Sooner or later, they're going to figure out how to neutralize my magic, and when they do, I'm done for. I'm packing up everything I can carry, and I'll be out of here tomorrow. Alright.
Man, he got screwed out of money.
So, we can't go back to Hugh, because he's fucking gone.
You leave the amulet, though.
But we do have a way we can get around this.
Oh, that. Okay, that's clever.
You can actually go into the portrait by casting the reality pocket.
We didn't have to kill anyone.
You form the spell in the air. The glowing lines float over the mural and sink into the surface. An uneven circle, like a hole in the painting, pulls back from the center to the frame, leaving something like a doorway into the scene. The figure stands uncomfortably in the center of the artist's studio. You climb onto the mantle and into the painting. You find yourself standing in the artist's studio facing a young man, awkwardly holding himself in a stiff pose.
Hello, my good man. Have you seen the artist? I'm getting very tired of standing in this position.
Yes. He told me to tell you to take a break.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. That position had me stiffening up. Not really worth the effort, if you ask me. I'm only doing it to fill time anyway. Who are you, by the way?
Yep. I'm a messenger from your wife-to-be. She sent me with the dowry information you've been waiting for.
I'm a messenger from your wife-to-be. She sent me with the dowry information you've been waiting for.
Oh? What does my little doe want?
Yep. She wants your magic amulet.
It's quite simple. She wants your magic amulet.
She wants my amulet? My most prized possession? I don't believe it. How do I know you aren't lying?
Do you think I would be so stupid as to try to lie to such an obviously intelligent and perceptive man?
Well, yes, of course. However, I must verify this information, as I'm sure you understand. I can't just give away something this valuable to someone who claims to be a messenger from my fiancée. The person she was to send was supposed to know some very personal facts about her, things no one besides me would know. If you can answer these questions, I'll believe you are who you say. First, can you tell me what her favorite bedtime story was?
It was the Bouncing Beans.
The Bouncing Beans?
Interesting. Now, tell me this. How many stepping stones were there over the old creek where we used to meet?
There were 5.
5?
There's only one more. What did I whisper to my lady the first time we met?
How much?
How much?
That's correct. You've answered all of my questions. I have no choice but to believe that you are who you claim to be. As I have told my lady, I would give up anything to be with her. She obviously wishes to test this promise by asking for my most prized possession. I will give it to you in hopes that she will realize that my love for her surpasses any material item.
He sighs heavily as he removes the amulet from around his neck and hands it over to you. You bow and walk away, out of the painting and back into the house. As you leave the portrait, the spell wears off and the portal closes, and we now have ourselves a magic amulet. And we didn't have to kill anyone for it!
Nice.
I think he didn't ask for a hand or anything.
Yeah. Alright.
I didn't think you could do it. Now I have no doubts that you're perfect for the Brotherhood. Come with me.
So Hugh strides to the door with you tagging behind, after accepting the amulet with surprise. He leads you up front to the front of the tower. With motions too quick to follow rendered in the blink of an eye, he has opened a concealed door. He ducks inside and motions for you to follow.
This is the Tower of the Brotherhood, my friend. You'll come to know it well. To the right is the storeroom where we keep the key crystals. You'll learn more about those after you've joined. In front is the legendary treasure room, and to the left is the initiation room. It is here that we go. I noticed that you've taken a beating recently. This healing salve should help. A good assassin is never without it. Wait here. I will be back in an hour or so to proceed with the initiation. Try not to think about the pain involved.
He walks out, grinning evilly. So now we're kind of in a bit of a time crunch here, so, we need to save.
Yeah, I don't know what we could. Oh.
So, let's go ahead. So, 2 lines of text are on the inside. The first reads, "Buy their time to die." The second line reads, "Shartea, Hestia, Shagria, Ulandia, Aristogon." Perhaps it's an advertising flyer for the Brotherhood. Alright. So, we need buy their time to die. Now, we need to push the table, open the shutter. Alright, you climb onto the standing table and flip open the shuttered window. The sun bursts through the opening, somewhat obscured by the distinct shape of the floating content of Aristogon. Alright, so if I'm not mistaken, what this does is that, whatchamacallit? I hate when my train of thought gets derailed. The continent that we see in the window is actually the code on what hands we want to press. So, for example, we saw Aristogon in the window, so we want die. So we want to find the diamond hand. We want to find iron hand, and then emerald hand. Yep, the emerald hand slides into the wall and pops out again. You hear a quiet rumble like hidden gears. Suddenly, the wall splits and swings open to reveal a hidden chamber beyond. For a treasure room, this chamber is surprisingly bare. Its only distinguishing feature is the platform in the center. So, oh, wait. We weren't supposed to do this yet. So we want to go put the lock pit in the lock. Shake. Pull. Tilt. Alright. Now we want to go in here.
Have you played this before, or are you following a guide?
I've played this before, but I am kind of following a bit of a guide because the last time I played this was quite a while ago, and I don't fully remember exactly what you're supposed to do. Yep. So what we want to do is, want to get this necklace, but we can't take the necklace because if you reach toward the crystal necklace, your hand touches the field of light and pain races up your arm. So how do we get the necklace? Use magic. By casting motion on the statue, it tries to walk, and boosh! You trace the lines of the spell into the air, and the magic envelops the statue. For a few moments, nothing seems to happen, but suddenly the still form quavers. Stone legs never intended to walk uproot themselves. The statue begins to jerkily move towards you, and with every step it breaks apart. Stone fragments fall away from newly made joints. As soon as it makes its way outside the glowing field, it collapses in a heap. The crystal necklace remains on the statue's left, but safely outside the killing force field. Yoink! And now we head back in here. We put the necklace on the pedestal. You lay the crystal necklace on the pedestal and enter the indentations that frame the flattened top. Light erupts from the pedestal and soon envelops the entire chamber. When your eyesight is cleared, you notice that the room is filled with treasure. Coins and gems, of course, but also ancient artifacts of inestimable value. So we want to go ahead. We want the handbook. We want the Book of Prian. And we want the crystal globe. On your way back, you slip on some loose gems lying on the floor. You fall headfirst on the hard surface of the platform. The impact stirs an involuntary yelp of pain. The noise echoes out in the opening from a wall down the tower's main hall. Before you can get to the feet, the guard comes bursting in the chamber, led by Hugh himself.
I like you. You're a thief after my own heart. Unfortunately, we can't suffer someone who's tried to steal from the Brotherhood to live. I'll try to make this as painless as possible.
He takes out a wicked-looking dirk and advances toward the platform. So now we got ourselves a bit of a problem here. We have an assassin and a guard. Whatever shall we do? Yoink! Yeah, snatch the key crystals from the pedestal. This causes the contents of the room to be transported back into the space between realities. Fortunately for you, this doesn't include the person standing on the platform. Unfortunately for Hugh and the guard, this happens to include them. Wearing expressions of disbelief, they fade away along with the remainder of the treasure. We're gonna go ahead and take another save here. Actually, now what happens if we actually put the necklace back on there? If you lay the crystal necklace back on the pedestal, into the indentations that frame the flattened top, yeah, it brings them all back! You also summon up the very angry guard who pounces on you with fury. He walks over to you and after making sure you feel more pain than you ever can remember, removes you from this world with a much more permanent method. Oops. Yeah, we don't want to do that. So now we're pretty much free to go wherever on here. The reason why I said we were a bit of a time limit was because we only had a certain number of moves we could use. If we were just sitting around here in the initiation room until Hugh came back, he would have basically led us into the initiation test, and he would have basically found out what we were doing. And he would have killed us. He would have slit our throat and he would have dumped our body out in the front of the tower. And that would have been a game over. If he would have caught us out here or into this room, he would have screamed what the hell we were doing out of the initiation room, and he would have killed us where we stand.
Oh.
So yeah, we only had like a certain number of turns before he would have came by to come check on us. That's why we kind of had to move a bit quickly on that. But now he's gone. We don't have to worry about him anymore.
I can't believe it. You got out of the tower alive. No thief has ever survived. We've got to get out of here. Skirvash isn't safe for either of us. The Brotherhood rules this city, and they'll kill us when they find us.
So you race back to the elven ship with a street rat in tow. King Stephen's troop captain hauls up the rope ladder as you climb aboard. A few hand signals from the captain send the crew scurrying, and shortly the ship lifts off.
I've decided to stay on board until we reach the Valkyrian Isles, where Stephen rules. I think I can live much better in human lands. I'll need these to get started. You understand, I'm sure.
So yeah, he grabs the lockpick and the pry bar from us, so we can't take those with us, unfortunately. But But smiling, you climb down the ladder and wander into the Dwarven Caverns. From that vantage, you watch the ship depart into the stormy sky. You take your inventory of your positions, and noted that the rat has also lifted the necklace of key crystals. So, yep, the necklace of the key crystals, they're gone too. But it's just as well, we didn't need them anyway. So we want to go ahead.
It lights up your inventory as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've got pretty much everything else here. We don't need anything else. Now that we've got the T-piece, we can go ahead and fix the broken pipe with our pieces. So, we want to go ahead. Let's see. We should be able to figure out how to... Yep, the object is linked the ends of the pipe you see on the left and right sides of the screen using the sections of the pipe that you've collected as you move through Arianas. Select a section of pipe, click on it. To rotate the currently selected clockwise, use the right arrow key or the right mouse button. To rotate it counterclockwise, use it left arrow key. Yeah. To flip this currently selected section, use the up arrow key. Yep. So yeah, we need... Yep, there you go. Carefully set all the fittings in place and make a connection between the two ends of the broken pipe section. It looks rather bizarre, but appears stable. Now you just take the cork, put the cork in the fixed pipe, wedging the cork into the exposed end of the T-pipe. Now you turn the valve. The valve produces a squeal as you turn it, which is soon accompanied by a low rumble. You hear the flow travel through the pipes along the wall into the new section. Soon, the entire room is filled with the happy pumping sounds, and the old dwarf brightens up considerably.
He lives. He lives.
Now what do you want?
You agreed that once the gods were gone and the pipes were fixed, you'd answer my questions.
That was ideal, I suppose. And since you did fix the Kixie Winsy, I guess I could spin a tale or two with you. What was it you wanted to know?
I'm looking for a piece of the world seal. It's a hexagonal piece of metal with a symbol etched onto it. I thought you might know where I could find it.
I don't remember any world seal. The only thing that comes close was a big statue I found years back in a chamber in one of the old tunnels. Carved into the base of the statue was a symbol framed by a hexagon. Something like the one you described.
Where was this chamber located?
I found it when I was tracing a mineral vein that the Kixie Winsy was mining. But since the Kixie Winsy filled up the tunnel leading to it, I've forgotten precisely where it was located. If I had one of the old maps, I might be able to locate it. But I doubt such a map even exists anymore.
Well, if such a map did exist, where would I find it?
That's a tough one. I suppose you might find one wherever you'd find any of the ancient documents, but nobody reads them anymore. The map could be anywhere, or it could have been destroyed. Those papers were pretty darn old.
Speaking of old.
How old are you really?
Old enough to recognize a smart-ass question when I hear one.
That's fair.
What is it that the Kixie Winsy does exactly?
Sonny, nobody knows exactly why the Kixie Winsy was created. The Manjus built it long ago, even before my time. According to the legends, the Manjus intended the Kixie Winsy to take care of everyone, of all races in all realms. And before you ask, I don't have any idea what that means.
Can you tell me about the Mangers?
The Manjus created the Kixie Winsy. The dwarves worshipped them before the gods showed up. Some say that the Mangers would have been with us still, but something happened. Come close. I found a chamber that contained a statue of a Manja. It was surrounded by crystal blocks with big people in them, much like yourself. I tried but couldn't open the blocks. I think those people inside, they were Mangers.
I wanted to talk to your manager. Should be an option system, yeah?
That's all. Thanks for the help.
Yeah, sure.
There should be an option of where's your manager.
Yep.
Hey, this is a geological survey map of the entire continent. Let me look at it. Here's where I discovered that statue with the symbol. It was in this vein of iron ore.
All right.
I remember that vein clearly. I saved a lump of the ore somewhere. Look closely at the grain. That vein was one of the best.
Yep. After rummaging through countless layers of dirty clothes, he produces the lump of rock and hands it to you, and continues to rumble on about the old days, but you've stopped paying close attention. Alrighty. So what we want to do is we want to open the compartment, the iron ore in the compartment, and as soon as you slip the piece of iron ore into the small compartment, the door slams shut, lights flare, and whistles blare all over the panel. Behind you, the giant digger mech chuffs. Its drill jerks into motion and starts to spin, gradually increasing speed. Puffs of steam toot and hiss randomly from holes. When the drill is no more than a blur, the whole machine trundles toward the wall and melts as if the wall were butter. It soon disappears from sight, leaving a dark tunnel behind. So we head on down the tunnel, and that's where we are here. Alright, so let's look. A statue of a robed Sartan, much larger than life, lords over the room, his hands outstretched as if asking for something. He looks like he wants something spherical, like a globe. Let's give it to him. Gingerly, you place this crystal globe in the pleading hands of the statue. As it clinks into place, the statue's eyes alight with a blue fire. Shafts of light pierce down through the globe. Internal facets distort the light as it passes through the crystal, so that when it is emerged from the other side, the light outlines a hexagonal shape on the ground. The ground shakes, the sections of rock floor outlined by the blue light melts away, and the seal piece of Arianis rises in its place. Suddenly, the crystal coffins open, revealing hundreds of Sartan, all of them very much dead. The entire experience is rather macabre. So, take the air seal piece. Yep. Every single coffin is filled by a Sartan body. All of them are dead as doornails. Now, the globe has affixed itself to the statue's hands and you cannot remove it. So, yep.
Ah, my friend, have you heard? The gods are gone. Their glow disappeared, and my people rose up and cast them out. It was beautiful. Now, we must reorganize our lives. Many of us feel lost without the guidance of the gods. I believe it's my job to keep their morale up. I'm writing a speech about that now.
That's nice. I'll leave you to your work.
Alright. And does Jar have anything else?
Hello again. What would you like to talk about now?
Have you noticed that the gods are gone?
Know about it? Of course! It's the talk of Dramplin. Gropple's been telling all the children how he outsmarted them. We're lucky we've got such a wise dwarf with us.
Shit.
Wait a second. I'm the reason the gods are gone. I outsmarted them.
Oh, I think Grapple mentioned that you had something to do with it. A small role, maybe. I'm sure he's very grateful for your help.
Nice talking with you. I've got to go.
Sure. I'll be here.
Now,
Or steal all the credit.
does she say anything about the Zinger?
Now, how am I supposed to reinstall it? Those poles are taller than the sky. The other Zingers are doing the job fine. Better if you just keep it.
Alright, fair enough, because that's not the first time we're gonna have the Zinger be with us here. Alright. Now that we got the air seal piece, let's go ahead and go back to the Nexus. We're done here in Arianis. We have nothing more to do here.
Alright.
Alright. Oh, no, I want to. Alright. Here you go, Czar.
Welcome back, my son. I see you've been successful. You have Arianis' seal piece. Congratulations. Now, please give me a report.
You hand over the seal piece and describe your adventures in Arianis in detail. Most of the antics of the Mensch seem to bore Lord Czar, but he pays rapt attention to the discovery of the reference book of Prian and of the crystal coffins holding the hundreds of Sartan corpses.
Amazing. The only Sartan you find are long dead. I wonder if someone has stolen our vengeance from us, or if their consciences did them in. I will have to consider this new information. Now, was there anything else before you use your newfound book to go on to Prian, Realm of Fire?
What do you suppose killed the Sartan? They all looked fairly young.
I'm not sure. Perhaps a plague. Although I've never heard of a plague so selective that it wipes out an entire race and leaves others untouched. I don't think we have enough information yet. Hopefully you will learn more in your travels.
So about that, we will find out what did them in, but not for quite a while yet.
You know, Arianis was not a prison. The Mensch weren't slaves. Most of their problems were of their own making. Perhaps the Sartan knew what they were doing?
My son, of course it may appear to be that way. Naturally, the Mensch weren't rebelling against the Sartan. According to your own report, the Sartan there are dead. Believe me, if the Sartan had been alive, they would have been grinding the Mensch under their heels. We are doing them a favor by removing the Sartan threat forever, or confirming its absence, and finally taking over the reins of their lives. The Sartan were right about one thing. The Mensch do need guidance. They're like children. Listen to your own report. Their squabbles are almost laughable. When we finally bring the world together, we shall give them the leadership that they so sorely need.
Can you tell me anything about your research?
The book I'm reading now is titled The History of the Sundering. Not only is it woefully inadequate, but it was improperly stored, and moisture has damaged many of the pages. The book discusses the 6 Sartan responsible for the plan: Sama, Dimitri, Orsef, Lornoi, Tyler, and Weyleth. Each created a specific spell, and for reasons I won't go into, it is vital that I learn which spell each Sartan created. The book did have that information once, but the water destroyed it. So I've been forced to do quite a bit of research on each person. I've divined much about their personalities from other texts. I'm hoping that this will tell me what kind of spell they would be likely to create. I've become very familiar with each of them, and I've named them the 6 devils. Each is a devil in a unique way.
He gives you a piercing look as if to underscore how vital it is for you to understand the enemy.
Tell me about Sama.
I call Sama the devil of the soul. He was insidious. Although the Sartan Council was theoretically democratic, Sama could talk them into anything. In fact, there was much dissension on the council when the plan was discussed. Many felt that it was too extreme, but Sama thundered right through the contrary arguments. The rest is history.
What did you learn about Dimitri?
I know Dimitri as the devil of the hand. He was very skilled at a variety of arts, and was a talented musician. It's said that his interests were very diverse, and he resented the time he was forced to spend on the council.
Who is Orsef?
Orsef is the devil of the heart. It is closest to the soul, and in truth, Orsef was Sama's closest advisor. He spent much time among the Mensch, studying them. The Mensch fascinated Orsef for some reason. It was he who was placed in charge of overseeing the transportation of the Mensch into the Four Realms.
Can you tell me about Lornoi?
I call Lornoi the Devil of the Eye. He was one of the few that saw the many problems with the plan. He was the leader of the pitiful opposition. I guess it shows how pitiful indeed the opposition was, that Lornoi was one of the instrumental participants in the plan. Sama must have talked swiftly to convince him.
Tell me about Tyler.
Tyler is the devil of the mind. He was the youngest and quickest of all 6 Sartan. If not for him, the plan might never have occurred. Although he was very ambitious, he wasn't nearly the politician that Sama was. Sama used him, as he used everyone to further his own plans.
Who is this Weylith?
I refer to Weylith as the devil of the tongue. Sama knew that Weylith was a skilled speaker and well-liked, perhaps almost as good a politician as he. He kept Weylith from the council for that very reason, and was fortunate that Weylith had no political aspirations. Otherwise, he might have had a fight on his hands.
Can I take a look at that book?
I'm afraid not. It's so damaged now that I have to keep special care of it. I never move it from this desk, and I turn the pages only with reluctance. I'm sorry.
Let's go back to some other topic.
Of course. What do you want to know?
Can we talk about some of the subjects you touched on earlier?
Of course. What do you want to know?
Let's go back to some other topic.
Of course. What do you want to know?
Okay, this is kind of getting funny now. Kind of getting him to repeat the same line.
That's enough for right now. I'd like to talk to you later if you don't mind.
Very well. I'll be here.
Yeah, we'll stop messing with the old man. Alright, let's take a look at the Book of Prian. Prian. It is our hope that the reader has some acquaintance of the designs and motives of the plan, but that should that not be so, we here offer a summary of events transpired, events in the making, and events yet still to come. Disorder reigns in the wake of the ongoing struggle between the Sartan and the patrons. The Mensch no longer know whom to pray. The misguided few have actually begun to align themselves with the malevolent machinations of the patrons. If not for the patrons' inherent distrust of alliance and haphazard nature of their efforts, they might have already claimed victory. And yet the balance of power is shifting, and something must be done before the added support of millions of Mensch proves sufficient to grant the patrons the mastery they so desperately crave. The plan was formulated by Council Leader Sama. Though controversial, it shows great potential for success. History will judge its efficacy, but given Sama's influence with the Council, implementation of the plan seems a foregone conclusion. Sama's plan calls for the world to be sundered into 5 realms, 4 to bear the imprint of the elements, 1 of air, of fire, of stone, and of water, and a 5th to constitute a supervisory station for the Sartan and a reformatory for the patrons. This prison shall be named the Labyrinth, and woe to any consigned there. That said, we must allow that the plan is not without flaw. The successful administering of these new realms will be contingent on our ability to manage the affairs of the Mensch. Millennia of wars, savagery, and racial intolerance have left them headstrong and unpredictable. But all previous attempts at direct intervention have only exacerbated the situation. It grows apparent that peace cannot be forced upon them. They must arrive at peaceful solutions to their problems without outside interference. Consequently, we must temporarily remove ourselves from their affairs, though we remain steadfast in our belief that the challenge posed by new environments will enlighten the Mensch to the failings of their old ways. Each of the 4 realms will determine for itself when the 3 races of Mensch, the elves, the dwarves, and the humans, will have achieved harmony. When that occurs, the Sartan will reveal themselves, for the purpose of leading the Mensch into an even grander future. For it is then that the final phase of the plan will be initiated, the linking of the 4 realms via the Death Gate. This coupling is essential to the full working of the plan, for the realms are not designed to be either self-sufficient nor self-determining. When a fourfold unification of the Mensch realms have been realized, the High Council of the Sartan will re-enter the vortex, and the spell of the Sundering will reach completion. We turn now to an analysis of the four elemental realms, the realm defined by fire, known henceforth as Prian. Much like our native world, Prian will be oblately spherical. It will, however, be hollow, for its exterior composed of inert rock. Sim says that the council shall decide your fate. While its interior provides for a breathable atmosphere, arable soil, dense forest, and navigable oceans, instead of populating the outer surface, Prian's Mensch will inhabit the inner curvature. Furthermore, 4 massive suns will be conjoined in the center of the hollow to warm and light the interior. These suns will neither rise nor set. The ordinary cycles of life will change, but we are confident that the Mensch will, over time, adapt to these new conditions. After Prian has been forged, we will fashion our structures called the Citadel, whose purpose will be to funnel power through the Death Gate to the other realms. Prian's 4 suns are to be the source of that power. The Citadel will have ample space to accommodate the 3 Mensch races. What's more, the Citadel will serve as Prian's unification test site. Each of the 3 races will be given a talisman that symbolizes its role in the new society. When representatives of the elves, the dwarves, and the humans unite at the Citadel and lay those talismans at the door, the Citadel shall open. Mensch will be rewarded with a glorious palace with which to live under the tutelage and enlightened guidance of the Sartan, who will arise to greet them. 2. The opening of the Citadel will summon a race of the beings known as the Titans, who are designed to operate and service the Citadel. Not only will their size and strength permit them to endure the rigors of their task, but their specific magical gifts will enable them to protect themselves and the Citadel from harm. However, to ensure against the Titans using their endowments for any other purpose, we have devised a method to counteract the potential threat that they pose to Mensch and Sartan alike. First, we have kept them sightless. Secondly, we have rendered their otherwise normal hearing responsive to a sequence of sounds, a string of fractured tones that is unlikely to naturally occur. Whenever the sequence is enabled, and for however long it continues, the Titans will be immobilized. The tune follows. This is the order of the tune, the notes that it comes by. Sound entranced, the Titans will be vulnerable to a variety of behavior modification and or enhancement spells. The spells will permit the Sartan to subjugate those included in their birth imprinting. Birth imprinting spells either cater principally to basic self-defense and task-oriented Citadel operation, along with the specific summon command that directs the Titans to the Citadel when unification of the Mensch talismans occurs. Regrettably, the Titans too, until their summoning, will inhabit the inner curvature of Prian. They will be so well removed from Prian's population centers that the possibility of encounter or interaction with the Mensch is remote. The concealment is more for the sake of the Mensch than the Titans. Faced with such an intimidating foe, the Mensch may be quick to attack, and an attack against the Titans or the things under their care would only enable the very capable self-defenses, resulting in the maiming or killing of the Mensch. Alright, let's go ahead and... oops. We want to rune transfer onto the steering stone. And we can now travel to the realm of fire. We call upon the power of the steering stone to take us through the Death Gate and into Prian, the world of fire. Tim says, to travel into the realm of fire, just place your head into the oven. Alright, our ship arrives over a field of green, trees large enough to hold cities. One of them has a flat area just big enough to land our ship on. But something else has caught our eye, a glowing crystal city nestled in the carpet of vegetation. We decide to investigate and land the ship in the clearing nearby. Alright, let's go ahead and get on the heck out of here. Or said, grab the pink plant, rip it up from the ground, roots and all! Alright, so we
Just
want
don't
to...
eat it.
Let's go west to the Citadel, and then west again. Find a nut and a shell. Let's take a nut. Yep, one of the nuts pulls away from the stalk rather easily, leaving behind a hole in the shell where the stalk was attached. Let's grab a shell.
Oh, that's one funky monkey.
Yep. Let's take a look at it. The animal most resembles a cross between a squirrel and a monkey. Underneath a coat of fur, sleek muscles move as it sways back and forth on its branch. You get the impression that it could prove quite formidable if provoked, despite the fact that there's nothing threatening about its manner. In fact, it seems to alternate between wary curiosity and hunger. Its eyes travel back and forth between you and the bushels of nuts. Well, we're going to ignore that for now. Alright, let's go ahead and head to the Tree City. Alright. Giant trees support your ship over unseen ground far, far below. So we got... Go ahead and take the clothesline here. And head west in the tree. Chamber appears natural as if the wood of the tree grew with the space in mind. You step into the middle of a busy kitchen, but upon your arrival all noise and movement suddenly cease. 3 pairs of eyes lock onto you. 2 elven women halt their conversation, and a child drops her broken doll and simply stares at you.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
I'm just a traveler.
I'm just a traveler.
I guess traveler is a more polite name for refugee. Let me give you a piece of advice. You can't afford to be polite when you're looking for work. You are looking for work, aren't you? That's the only reason humans ever come here.
Sure, I'll give it a try. What do you need me to do?
I'm glad to hear it. I'm so behind just now that I would welcome anyone's help, even from a human refugee. The king has decided to throw a party with his usual 2-hour notice. Get over to the counter and start kneading that dough. Let's see if you can handle that task before we move you on to anything more complicated.
Okay. You edge over to the counter, pick up the lump of dough, and half-heartedly begin to knead it. While you're doing this, the cook resumes her flurry of activity, continuing the conversation with the other woman as if there had been no interruption. She hurries about the room, tending to several tasks at once. At the same time, she not only manages to keep up her end of the running conversation, but the serving girl's side as well.
I'm worried about the children. I don't have a problem with them playing together, but the royal prince has begun to join in. There are human children in that group. You watch. Nothing good can come of that. No offense, you understand.
Racist.
Anyway, I've saved the worst for last. There's a human adult out there. He's talking with the children, putting all sorts of ideas in their heads, ideas about all of the races living together, treating each other as equals. Can you believe it? Rumor has it that he's a wizard. A child described some of his spells, and they're like nothing we've ever seen. In fact, the spells weren't even similar to any of those cast by the humans. Either this human is the most powerful to come along, or he's a member of a different race entirely. Wouldn't that be exciting?
Maybe the child was exaggerating. You know how imaginative they can be.
Of course, that's true. Those children can come up with some wild ideas. Still, it would have been exciting.
You notice that the small elf child on the floor has been watching you with wide eyes and an unreadable expression. After a moment, she returns to playing with the battered, pathetic doll, and holds it above the floor and tries to make it walk around, but the fact that the doll is missing its head and a leg seemed to make the experience less enjoyable than it should be. After a few moments, she drops the doll on the floor and sighs dejectedly. Hey, we have a doll that we can go ahead and give to her. The child looks at the toy in your hand and smiles. She throws aside the broken doll as she jumps up, claps, and runs over to grab the better toy. She turns it around in her hands and laughs happily.
You're nice. I like you. You have to meet my friends. Come on, let's go.
She grabs your hand and starts to drag you outside, running outside and beckoning you to follow. cook pulls a tray of Sweetwater cakes from the oven. The aroma makes your mouth water, and a loud buzzing draws your attention to a small window. You see a nasty-looking insect about the size of your fist flying into the kitchen, also attracted by the sweet smell. The serving maid screams and puts herself as far from the bug as she can, which is completely understandable considering the size of that fucker. Only the cook manages to remain calm. As the insect hovers over the cakes, she pulls out an ugly yellow flower from an apron pocket and crushes it in her hand. She unfolds her fingers and the room is suddenly filled with a horrible odor, which makes you feel somewhat queasy, but has a far more substantial effect on the insect, which immediately darts back out the window.
It must be bug season again. Those terrible insects are such a bother. Every time I make something sweet, they show up, seemingly out of nowhere. On one occasion, I was actually stung by one of them. I was in bed for a week. These petals should do the trick of keeping them away today, but this is my last plant. I'm going to have to get the children to start harvesting the stinkweed again.
Tim said it must be bug season again. Ubisoft released the game.
What
bugs everywhere.
Their hives appear during every harvest season. The insects that live in them usually leave us alone, unless they are angered or they smell something sweet. That drives them crazy. I always keep some stinkweed around, just in case.
Why does the flower drive off the insect?
As much as the bugs are drawn to the sweet smells of my cooking, they are repulsed by the smell of stinkweed. Actually, stinkweed isn't all that bad until you crush the petals, but then you'd best be as far away from it as you can get.
Where do you find that yellow plant?
I'm not sure. The plant grows wild in bunches, but it's difficult to find. I have all the children out searching for it, and since I reward their finds with sweets, the plant is in high demand. Whenever it's discovered in the wild, the children return with as much as they can carry. They practically drool over that patch growing on the nearest tree, but no one can get to it.
May I have one of those cakes?
Absolutely not. I'm preparing these cakes for the king's party.
Fair.
You mean it's going to smell like that in here all day? I think I'm done with this dough, you see? All nice and needed.
Well, you've done a pretty poor job on the dough, but I don't think I'm going to get much better out of you. Leave then. I don't blame you for wanting to get away from the stinkweed.
Alright, fair enough.
I didn't think you'd ever get here. Come on, let's go. It's through here.
Alright, and the elf child wiggles through a clump of bushes to the east. You come upon a group of children gathered at the ledge, calling to someone below. One smaller child is crying. When you glance over the edge, you see a young elf trapped on a lower ledge, trying without much success to climb back up.
These are my friends. That doorknob down there is the prince. I guess he finally got up enough courage to go after the golden staff. He's been talking about it long enough. It doesn't look like he made it very far, though.
Tim mentioning, fat elf getting kids to harvest weed with everlasting joy replies with a laughing emoji. Alright, well.
Weed is in high
Hello,
demand.
sir?
It's gotta be
Could you help me
420
off of this
soon.
ledge, please? Don't tell anybody. My father would be so angry.
How'd you get down there?
It's a long story. If you help me out, I'll tell you.
I'll give it some thought. Don't go anywhere.
Very well. I guess I'll wait here.
Alright. I mean, he's not going anywhere, but you lower one end of the clothesline to the struggling prince. He grabs hold of it gratefully, and you haul his ass up.
Thank you, sir, for coming to my aid. I would have made it out eventually by myself, but your help sped things up quite a bit. I am at your service, sir. Anything I can do for you, I will.
Alright.
So, why did you climb down there? Not the smartest thing in the world to do.
I know. It's a long story. I was searching for the staff. I figured that I wanted it more than anyone who had gone before me. It turns out that I had much more enthusiasm than ability.
Enthusiasm won't help you climb down a tree that is many miles high.
I found that out. My father forbade me to go after the staff. Too many of my ancestors entered the maw and never returned. I guess he knew what he was talking about.
Staff? What staff?
I guess everyone isn't familiar with the legend. I'll tell it to you. Ages and ages ago, the gods gave 3 items to the races. To the dwarves, they gave a golden hammer. To the humans, they gave a golden sword. They gave us a golden staff. The items were supposed to symbolize the race's roles in a new, unified society. The dwarves were to be the workers, the builders. That's what the hammer represented. The humans were supposed to be the protectors, hence the sword. We elves were the scholars, the leaders, of course. I guess it didn't quite work out that way. After one of the ancient wars with the humans, my ancestor rebelled against the symbolism of the staff. He cursed the idea of living and working with the other races. So he took the staff and cast it into the maw, never to be seen again. He did it in the heat of anger, and soon regretted it. The staff represented more than the ancient legends. It was also a symbol of leadership. Without it, he chanced losing his power. So my ancestor climbed down into the maw to reclaim the staff. He never returned. Since then, members of the royal family have sought the staff. Every few generations, an elf will climb down into the maw, but not one has ever made it back. We don't even know what's at the bottom. We only know that there is solid ground, and the only way in is straight down. We call it the maw because it swallows up anything that enters it.
How could anything be worth risking your life like that?
Naturally, I wanted to regain the staff for my people. My father would be so proud of me. They would write songs about me. I would have done what all of my ancestors failed to do. Don't you think that's enough?
You tell me, lad.
You're right. I never really cared about the acclaim. There is another reason. There's a girl, a human girl. I love her.
Aww.
Who is this girl?
She's beautiful. She's a hunter, she's a musician, she's a leader, she's everything I ever wanted. And not only is she human, but she's a princess as well. And she doesn't even know I exist. Now without the staff, I'll never get a chance.
A human? Won't your father be a bit angry with your choice?
I don't care. At least she's royalty. My father will learn to accept it. He has to.
How would possessing the staff help you to get this girl?
The humans believe that the items from the gods are symbols of rulership. Every human leader since the beginning has carried the golden sword. The current monarch, the princess's father, has been ill for some time. While he's incapacitated, she has accepted the responsibility of rulership. With it, she has taken the sword. She takes her station very seriously, and she'll only consider a suitor of equal status. Because the humans equate rulership with the possession of the godly items, she won't even look in my direction if I don't have the staff.
I'll get my sword for you, Daddy.
Where did you meet her?
I met her at one of our gatherings. Lately, she's been coming to hear the wizard speak. I think she's interested in his message of racial harmony. In fact, she'll be coming to a meeting tonight. I was hoping to have the staff by then. Oh well.
That's all there is to it? You get the staff, and it gets you the girl?
Well, not quite. I have to earn her respect, and I'll never get it without the staff. After that, I'm not sure what to do. I think I have to soften her up somehow. Maybe I need something pretty to give her. Even if I do get in her good graces, I won't know what to say. I always get tongue-tied whenever I talk to her. I just don't know the right words. I think if I had something nice to give her and the right words to say, I'd have a chance.
Let me get this straight. You need the staff, the right words, and a pretty present? Sounds like you've been thinking about this for quite a while.
Forever. I decided that if I couldn't have her, I didn't want to go on living. That's why I tried to get the staff. If I didn't make it, I'd be out of my misery.
And Tim says, moral of the story, girls care quite a lot about staffs.
Enough about this girl.
All right.
Let's talk about something else.
Staff.
Certainly.
Do you know anything about a big ancient building? It has a door with 3 symbols on it.
An ancient building? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Perhaps the wizard can help you. He's been around forever.
Have you met this human wizard who supposedly talks to children?
Of course. His name is Zifnab. He's a human, but he's the strangest human I've ever met. Though admittedly, I haven't met all that many. He resembles you somewhat, but in place of your black hair with white tips, he has white hair with black tips. Do you know him?
He's the Thornton!
Oh, old Zifnab? Sure. Known him for years. He's one of my kind.
You say Zifnab is one of your kind? That's strange. He said that he was the last on the planet. Although that doesn't really make any sense either, because there are humans everywhere. Come to think of it, much of what he says doesn't make sense. One thing he's been adamant about is keeping out of the way of the adults. He claims that they'll keep him away from us. Would you do that?
EJ says that Zifnab sounds like a backwards name, and that's because it is. Zifnab is a direct reference to Banfiz of, I believe, what was it? Give me one moment here. I forget exactly where it was, but he is... He's not actually a Banfiz. He is a reference to Fizban from Fizban. Yeah, he's a reference to Fizban the Fabulous of Dragonlance. So yeah. Yeah, Tim says he knows a D&D Fizban, at least, yeah. Yeah, and that's because, yep. And Tim even confirms that, yep, that's about it. Yeah, D&D Dragonlance. And that's because the writers of the Deathgate cycle were responsible for some of the Dragonlance novels. So they kind of made a reference to Fizban with Zifnab.
Of course not. He sounds harmless enough.
Whew, I'm so glad. I would really like you to meet him. He does the most spectacular tricks. Even when we don't understand half of what he says, he's always entertaining. If you'd like, I can lead you to the meeting place. There's a gathering tonight.
All right, let's go.
Very good. The meeting should be fun, even though I didn't get the staff. Please follow me.
Alright, so he wanders off into Shady Grove to the southeast. As you stroll into the clearing, you notice the children scurrying around preparing the area. Some gather wood for a fire pit in the center, and the remainder relax on the ground, or around the pit, or on the ground, or on a log lying nearby.
He's just upset because his girlfriend is coming, and he didn't get the golden staff to impress her.
Yep, the prince collapses on the log looking miserable. Others glare at him as they do their work, but say nothing. Alright. We have... Now, wait until the fire starts in a glowing ember. Okay, so we wait.
Don't worry, it's dead. Not a live bug in it. Lucky for us.
Yep. A couple of boys approach the fire pit carrying a cumbersome, papery hive between them. They dump it in the hole, and when the hive strikes the ground, they crash, causes the others to jump back in surprise.
You don't know the half of it. My cousin tried to light one up when live bugs were still using it. You should have seen him afterward. He almost died.
Well, it's better than carting around a bunch of wood. These hives burn better than anything I've ever seen, and they're much lighter. Besides, I've kept my eye on this one for the last week. It's as dead gets.
Alright. Heap of combustibles grow higher as children pile on twigs and dead branches. One Stroud sprinkles dead moss around the massive hive as others sit down around the pit. And a child strikes a piece of flint against the flat rock as she holds. Sparks fall onto the dried moss in the hive, and immediately the hive explodes in the flame and the children applaud. Alrighty. You hear some ruffling from the bushes. Immediately the children's chatter stops and all eyes turn toward the sound. A pretty young human woman steps lively from the branches. She's dressed in hunting leathers and carries herself regally. A golden sword is strapped to her waist and a flute strung around her neck. She utters no words when she sees everyone looking at her, and instead walks to the log and sits down. She attempts to act unperturbed, though it's obvious she's uncomfortable with the attention. As soon as the woman arrives, the elven prince becomes entranced. His mouth drops open and his eyes follow her every movement. When she sits down, he seems torn between wanting to speak to her and wanting to run far, far away. Now he appears to have arrived at a compromise, sitting in place and staring at her while she pretends to ignore him. I'm going to go ahead and take the shell and grab the ember with it. Alright. and we'll just keep waiting. The conversation suddenly dies. You look around to determine the cause and notice that everyone's staring at the disc in the ground. It has started to glow and getting brighter with every moment. A fountain of white fire bursts from the disc. It raises in the air, whipping and spinning about. With a flash, the font disappears, replaced by a somewhat confused-looking man in a long white robe. As he smooths and brushes his garb, you dive behind a bush out of sight. There is no mistaking it. This man is the Sartan, and you don't want to scare him away too soon.
Welcome, my little friends. It's time for the Zifnab show. I hope you're all comfortable. I seem to be without my beautiful assistant. Always liked her outfits, although I couldn't figure out how she kept from catching cold. Well, we'll have to make do without her. I hope you've all been thinking over what we talked about last time. I know you're just dying to philosophize about racial harmony.
Magic, 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 magic.
Hold on there.
Magic, magic, magic.
Whoa! Yes, I know that the races living in conflict is very tragic. That's why we're going to talk about it.
No, we want to see some magic.
Oh, magic! You want to see magic? Let's see. Any of you have a $50 bill? No? How about 100? Put that coin away, son. This trick only works with the high denominations.
I gotta like him myself personally. He removes his battered hat and fingers a hole in the tip. Inspired, he flips it upside down.
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. Where'd the rabbit go to? I could have sworn I had a rabbit in my hat. Maybe it was bats in my belfry.
Yep. Good old Rocky and Bullwinkle reference. You stare open-mouthed at the outlandish figure. Without a question, this Zifnab is a Sartan, but he's nothing like you've envisioned. He seems harmless enough, perhaps even a little mad, but you know how powerful the Sartan were. It's best just to observe. The purpose of this whole act could be to lull any potential enemies into underestimating him.
Well, let me try a real showstopper. What was that spell? It always gets everyone's attention. Feather fall? No, something else. Direfall. Fireball? Firehole? Wait, it'll come to me.
Yep. You glance at the gathering of children. It seems that this strange Sartan is succeeding in confusing everyone, and not just you. He stands in place contemplating his spell. The silence lengthens, but the children don't mind. They turn to each other and talk, obviously used to these lapses. Time passes, and in your crouched position, your leg starts to cramp. Involuntarily, you shift your weight. The movement shakes the bush you use as cover and attracts the Sartan's attention.
Is that a new little friend I see back there? Come on up here. Every new friend gets to grab a handful of pennies from the jar. My, you're a tall bugger, aren't you? Wait a moment, you're not a child. In fact, you're not even from Prian. You're a patron.
Yep, too late died. Busted. The white robe Zifnab wears whips around as he whirls back toward the disc in the ground. Before he can do a thing, he traces a rune construct in the air. The spell floats into the white disc and appears to catch fire. You charge at him, but before you reach the disc, he's disappeared to wherever the spell has taken him. We've learned a spell. Alrighty. So, let's go ahead and let's follow him. What'd you say?
I just came back.
Oh.
I had to check on something again.
Not a problem. You weave the spell in the air. It floats lightly over to the disc. It strikes, and an explosion of light obscures everything. Eventually, the light fades, but what reappears isn't at all like what was there before. Your surroundings are completely altered, and the only thing that remains is the disc, but its color has changed to black. The base of a massive branch shielded by leaves is home to a dragon. The branch extends over the chasm between the trees. You appear on a wide branch, and the somewhat weather-beaten Sartan stands in front of you. Behind him, you've noticed a gigantic reptile, something you've heard stories about but have never seen. A dragon.
Hello, patron. Before you do anything rash, I must inform you that we are both under the watchful eye of my pet dragon.
He returns to present a monstrous reptilian form stretched out behind him. Zifnab looks concerned, but then kicks the dragon's tail.
Wake up, you stupid dragon! I've got a boogie at 12 o'clock! Unfriendly fire! Traitor in our midst!
Slowly, the dragon opens its huge eye and regards you. The look it gives you says, I know he's a little excitable, but he's mine. Touch him and you'll answer to me. He then closes the eye and begins to snore. Tips is a Tarzan in his natural environment.
Whenever I really need him, does he help out? No, he sleeps. It's enough to make someone go out and get a cat. Well, since you're already in my home, I might as well be hospitable. Coffee, tea, a push off of the branch?
Who are you?
I'm Cortex, the thinking machine. No, wait a second, that's not it. I knew a moment ago. Ooh, that's right. I'm James Bond, Agent 007. I've got a license to kill, so you'd better keep your distance. Somewhere I have a lighter that can obliterate half a continent. Either that or take your picture.
What?
Something wrong with you? I told you, I'm Bond, James Bond. I don't think this boy's playing with a full deck.
No, you're not. You're Zifnab, the children told me.
Haha, that's just my cover. You a fool, huh? Can't blame you. I'm the best in the business.
Quit fooling around. I know you're Zifnab. Although what kind of name Zifnab is, I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah? Well, what kind of name is Haplo?
Wait.
How'd you know my name is Haplo?
Your name is Haplo? Glad to meet you. I'm Zifnab.
He grabs your hand and bumps it up and down.
You didn't answer my question. How'd you know my name is Haplo?
Why, you just told me when you introduced yourself. You'd better start paying attention to the conversation if you're gonna learn anything.
This is kind of why I live like Zifnab. He's kind of like Bugs Bunny in human form, almost.
Try to keep it together, Sartan. I need some information.
Let's see. I have a piece of microfilm lodged in my inner ear from my smuggling days, but I can't really talk about that. How about the weather? Pretty sunny, huh? Actually, talking about the weather isn't quite as interesting when it's always the same.
Why are you talking to the children about racial harmony?
The races have never been closer to tolerating each other, especially the children. If I can impress upon them the importance of peace, they may achieve unification.
You've referred to the unification. What exactly is it?
The unification, that's the racial harmony I've been talking about. When all the races come together and are capable of living with each other, the worlds are key to open their resources to the Mensch, wake up the sleeping Sartan, and ready the realm for the interconnection. Each world set up its own test to determine when the unification occurred. When the Mensch figured out the way into the Citadel, when they worked together to enter it, they will have unified. This was supposed to happen in every realm. After all of them were ready, the Council was supposed to complete the sundering by interconnecting the realms. The new society would begin. But it's been so long. Far too long. Something went wrong.
What do you think went wrong with the plan?
We took on too much ourselves. We were gods, and we were infallible. I warned Sama that we should wait. There were alternatives, but he didn't listen. He was full of his dream.
Zifnab stares off into space, lost in a world of his own.
What is this dragon?
He's my pet dragon. I met him shortly after I came to Prian. He took a liking to me, so I decided to adopt him. He told me that he embodies good in the wave. Doesn't make any sense to me. If he's supposed to be the personification of good, then he wouldn't be so lazy.
That dragon is the embodiment of good?
I know, hard to believe, isn't it? Especially since he didn't just eat you up as soon as you arrived.
Are you implying that I'm evil?
Of course not. Are you inferring that you are evil? That may be important. We might be on the verge of a breakthrough. A few more sessions and we'll be able to make some serious progress on your complex.
What's the wave?
You know, it's when a portion of the audience lifts their arms, followed by another portion, then another, until it completes a full circle around the stadium. No, wait, that's different. The wave is a little harder to explain. Reality is balanced. Good and evil can never be more powerful than each other. When that happens, the wave compensates. The dragon was created a long time ago in response to something else. Something very evil.
Do you know what the evil thing was?
Is, my good man, is. Since my dragon here is still around, you must assume that his evil counterpart is still around as well. I have my theories as to its form, but it's such a depressing subject that I prefer not to talk about it.
Enough. Let's talk about something else.
All right. How about those Steelers? Think they'll go all the way?
Where are the other Sartan?
I don't know. Have you seen them? I figured they'd been hiding from me all this time. Some joke. I turn my back for a couple years, take a little moonlight stroll, and they all go away. Well, it's not funny!
This last part is screamed into the air, not directed at you.
I found a group of them on Arianis. They were in crystal coffins.
Of course they were. The unification has yet to take place on Arianis. When it does, the coffins will open and the Sartan will come out to help the Mensch.
No, you don't understand. I did something there and the coffins opened. All of the Sartan were dead.
They're dead? All dead? How did it happen? How could it happen? You did this, patron, didn't you? Somehow your race has struck back and killed us. Admit it!
That's right, you Sartans. Come on, personally, really killed out your entire race.
You're wrong, Zifnab. One of my missions is to find out where the Sartan disappeared to. If the Sartan are dying off, it's not of my doing.
Ah, of course. Your people were imprisoned when this happened. You couldn't have had anything to do with it. There's something else out there.
Where do you think they could be hiding?
Well, I left them in the Citadel when I went for a walk. I assumed that they'd be along, but they never came. I haven't seen them since.
Why are you here?
I don't know why I'm here exactly. Even though our policy is non-interference when it comes to the unification, I felt I had to help it along. It's been so long and the Mensch have never been so close as they are now.
How long have you been here? Alone?
I'm not alone. I've got my dragon, I've got the children. I don't need more than that. But it seems like a long time since I've seen any of my people. A long time.
Let's talk about something else. You're obviously uncomfortable with this subject.
Suit yourself.
Where is Priam's seal piece?
Ah, the seal piece. Your lord needs it, huh? You know, there are better uses for it than what he intends.
What do you know about my lord?
Oh, nothing. I'm sure he's a wonderful fella. Life of the party kind of guy. Am I right? I'll bet he could show me a card trick or two.
How do you know what my lord intends?
What do patron lords usually intend after they've escaped from thousands of years of imprisonment? You think maybe he wants to conquer the realms, reform the world to enslave the masses? No, nobody's that antisocial.
Funny thing is, he's kind of right on the money on that.
What uses?
Interested? Well, back in the old days, we had plans for those pieces. Big plans. Plans that make other plans look really small. Really huge plans. And important, woo-wee. You don't get any more important than those plans. That's how he made plans in the old days. Big and important.
Well, what were your plans?
What plans?
Don't try and throw me off track. Where is it?
All right, don't get in a huff. Where did we put that piece? Didn't we build something to put it in? Oh, that's right. It's in the Citadel.
All right, that's a start. What's the Citadel?
That's a pretty open-ended question. The Citadel is a fortress, or it's a city, or it's a power station. Take your pick.
Where is the Citadel?
Oh, it's that way, I think. You should be able to see it from the air in your flying ship. It's really big. Had to be, you know?
That big white crystalline structure, probably.
How do I get in?
That's a toughie. No one can get in. In fact, it was designed to keep everyone out. I certainly don't think any exceptions were made for angry patrons. Of course, after the unification, anyone could just walk right through the front door.
You mean I'll have to make all of the races get along before I can get that door open?
Well, it's not quite that difficult. We set up a test to detect when the races started to get along. We gave each a symbol. A golden sword to the humans, a golden staff to the elves, and a golden hammer to the dwarves. If a representative from each race places their symbol upon the door to the Citadel at the same time, it will open. The three races must do it together. One man with all the symbols wouldn't be able to open the door.
And Tim says, and a golden dick to the patrons.
Where are all of those symbols?
They certainly didn't take quite the care of them that we hoped they would.
As long as it's not
Only the
Dick
humans
Tracy.
still revere their symbol, but they look on it as a symbol of leadership instead of its actual meaning, the human's role in a new integrated society. Every human leader carries it. It gives them the authority to rule. I believe the current holder is the young princess who occasionally comes to my gatherings. The elves threw their staff into a local pit called the Maw. It's been lost for generations. I don't know how the unification can occur until it is recovered. The dwarves, straight-lined practical thinkers that they are, took one look at the hammer, decided that it was the most inferior hammer they'd ever seen, and stuck it deep in their weapons vault. I don't think they even remember that they have it.
Isn't there any other way to
Out
get
of
in the
sight, out
Citadel?
of mind.
Well, let's see. A spell might help you out. Maybe if you blew down a wall or something. There's one spell I remember. What was it? Tie a wall, liar, stall? I can't seem to recall. Oh well, sorry I couldn't help.
Oh, I know what it is. We're bringing it back. We're bringing it back. We're bringing it back. Fireball!
Didn't you come from there? How'd you get out?
Getting out is not the same thing as getting in. In fact, they're two entirely different things. Yin and yang, night and day, black hat and white hat.
With that, he removes his hat, spits in it, and pounds on it until it looks worse than ever. Satisfied, he replaces it on his head and smiles.
Tell me more about the Citadel itself.
All right.
How is the Citadel a fortress?
At present, that seems to be the only task that it accomplishes on a regular basis. All of its other functions were intended to come online following the unification. Right now, the Citadel lies dormant. The Titans roam the forest. Everything waits on the unification. That's why I'm trying so hard to convince the children to throw away their prejudices.
Tim says, tire ball, you literally shoot out a ball of car tires.
Titans? What are they?
The Titans are magical creatures created to operate the Citadel. We built them to last too. Big
Weird, I thought the
suckers,
Titans
maybe
were
3 times
imprisoned
your
by
height,
Zeus.
and powerful enough to rip up a small tree. Their appearance is a little unsettling. They don't have any eyes. Don't need them. We gave them enough magic to sense everything around them. In fact, they can sense things miles away when they're motivated enough. When we built this realm, we dumped them into the forest. Until the Citadel powered up, they had nothing to do. I think they went a little crazy. They knew they were supposed to serve the Sartan, and they knew that the Citadel was important, but that's about it. Titans aren't the smartest creatures. Somehow they found a Sartan relic. I think it was a crystal sculpture of some sort. Without purpose in their lives, they fixated on it. To them, I suppose it had religious significance, and to this day, they worship it. Against all of our expectations, the Mensch actually encountered the Titans. Dwarves moved into the area surrounding the Titans' forest. they understandably wandered in. The Titans reacted by defending their relic, and they drove the dwarves off, dragging their wounded behind them. But dwarves are stubborn creatures, and they continue to live just outside of the forest. As long as they stay outside, the Titans leave them alone.
I've been meaning to ask, how's the volume on this? Is this like too soft, too... No.
It's pretty good. It's fine.
All right.
I haven't had any trouble.
I just because when I first brought this up, it was actually pretty loud, and I reduced the volume down quite a bit by about roughly half of what it originally was. But I've been meaning to ask if it was loud enough.
It's good.
The
I can hear both of you
races
in
live
the
in uneasy peace. The Titans notice nothing besides their artifact, and the dwarves leave it alone. Those dwarves are understandably nervous, living so close to their enemy, so they keep a stock of weapons handy. I don't think they've actually pulled them out for years, but having them available makes them feel more secure.
What exactly is the Titan's purpose? Why'd you make them?
The Citadel is a big place. It needed a lot of workers to keep it running smoothly. Instead of enslaving the Mensch or working the Citadel ourselves, we tailor-made a race to do it for us. We also designed them to protect the Citadel, and ironically, the Mensch as well. Somehow, they've perverted this defensive behavior to focus on the crystal artifact to the exclusion of everything else. Of course, their unnatural interest in this piece of Sartan refuse should disappear when the Citadel is open. The unification will trigger the imprinted behavior that will summon the Titans into the Citadel. They should start it operating, and they'll forget about everything in their previous lives.
What's the Titan's magic sense like?
The Titans had to be given the power to sense the position of objects, even though the objects might be out of sight. This was principally for the operation and repair of the Citadel after it started working. Because they were equipped with this sense, we decided not to give them eyes. They see better than you or I, and they track better than any scout, since they already know the location of something even when they're away from it.
How is the Citadel a city?
We intended the Citadel to house everyone, the humans, the elves, and the dwarves all together. Naturally, this couldn't happen until they learned to live peacefully among each other. So its halls wait, empty and dead, for the unification.
How is the Citadel a power station?
Prian has a role in the whole. Following the interconnection, Prian was to supply power to the other realms. Its 4 suns produce more than enough energy for itself and the other worlds. The Citadel was supposed to control the flow of energy from the suns through the Death Gate into the other worlds.
How about we talk about something else?
Suit yourself.
Where'd you get these transporter discs?
They're just something I picked up. Rather handy, don't you think? I had to plant the white one in the ground to keep the children from wandering off with it. I wouldn't want to appear in the middle of the campfire. If I didn't have them, I'd have to rely on my pet dragon to take me everywhere, and getting him out of bed could blow a whole day. As far as I know, there's no other way back to the nearest tree.
I have had enough. Goodbye, Sartan.
Well, I can't say I'm sorry to see you go, Haplo. But take care. You have many trials ahead of you. The fate of the world rests on your shoulders.
He's a good guy, that Zifnab.
If it isn't my favorite patron in all of Prian, what can I do for you?
I just want to see what he says about this.
Give me one good reason why I shouldn't blow you away.
If you so much as look at me wrong, my dragon will find out what you're made of and decorate the tree with it.
Yep, he leans against a non-existent branch and falls on his face.
I have had enough. Goodbye, Sartan.
Well, I can't say I'm sorry to see you go, Haplo. But take care. You have many trials ahead of you. The fate of the world rests on your shoulders.
Alright, so we're just gonna take this. Yoink!
You're welcome to take that disc. I can always get my dragon to ferry me back and forth, but unless I miss my guess, you don't have a pet dragon. Without the disc, you're going to have to find another way back to the other tree.
Alright, so we're gonna want the clothesline. Okay, try that at the branch. And then head on down. We want some blue flowers. We want some yellow flowers. Let's see what we got here. crush the yellow ones. Crush the yellow flowers in your hand. Somehow this action increases an incredibly foul odor, stronger than anything you ever encounter. Let's... the yellow flowers. Oh yeah, we already have 7. Alright, and let's go ahead and swing on the clothesline. Grab the clothesline and swing to the chasm clearing on the far tree. When you get there, you tuck the end into a crack. Alright. Now go east and throw the blah into the maw. So, yep. So now we go back to southeast. And you weave the spell in the air. Once, yep. Alright, we stand on the root ledge right at the edge of a massive web. In the center, a gigantic spider sits patiently. Alright, so want the ember on the put the ember on the hive. As soon as you touch the hot ember of the massive hive on the tree, it bursts into flame. In surprise, you jerk your hand back and drop the shell containing the ember into the web below. The air erupts with the nasty, stinging bugs that made the hive their home. Some of the insects make tentative passes at you, but veer away when they get within range of your foul odor wafting from the yellow petals you hold. But without a target, the insect swarms move angrily at random. Attracted by the sweet aroma, some fly toward the marmalade, but are immediately driven back by the odor of the petals. Others just fly in circles, angrily buzzing. So what we want to go...
toss the marmalade?
Yep, indeed. We take the marmalade, and we throw it at the spider. With a grunt of effort, you heave the jar of marmalade at the spider. It strikes dead center and smashes open. It splashes all over its disgusting body, and you can smell the sickly sweet aroma from here. The insects are immediately attracted by the sweet smell of the marmalade splash spider. As one, they swarm toward it. The center of the web becomes a flurry of activity. The stinging insects whirl around the spider as it thrashes in agony, and soon the one-sided battle dives down and the spider slumps onto the web in death.
Oh, the bees!
What a hell of a way to go.
Jesus.
Alright, and we take the shear, cut the pod, we scramble over the web until we get to the pod, and you whip out the garden shear and start to saw away at the thick, sticky strand of the web. After a few minutes, the golden staff, as well as its grisly ex-owner, are completely revealed. You grab the staff and make your way back to the relative safety of the ledge. We got ourselves a gold staff. Huzzah. Alrighty. Now we need the corpse in the lower left. Push that aside. You shove the remains of the ancient traveler to one side. You discover a patch of toadstools and a glowing arrow. So we want... to take... arrow and take the toadstools. So then, once we do that...
What's the point system thing?
Point system?
Yeah.
It's just the standard, it's just like a standard adventure thing where, you know, you get points for actions, and once you complete the game, you have like a certain total that you're aiming for.
Okay.
Like for right now, we've currently got 535 out of a possible total of 1,500. So we're about a third of the way there. Alright.
Nice.
Alright. So, give the blue flowers to the elf prince.
Thank you very much. I still need the golden staff of rulership. She'll only regard me as an equal if I hold it. After I've gained her respect with it, I can use these flowers to butter her up. Girls love pretty flowers. But once she's feeling kindly towards me, I'll need something to keep me from stumbling all over my words. I can never figure out anything to say.
Alright, that's fine, because we got a book of poetry.
Thank you very much. I still need the golden staff of rulership. She'll only regard me as an equal if I'm holding it. After I've gained her respect with it, I can woo her with the flowers you gave me and this book of love poems. All I need is the staff, but that's probably the hardest thing to get.
Alright, and speaking of the golden staff, here you go. You give the final item to the prince and offer a quick word of encouragement. He breathes deeply to bolster his courage, then strides toward the princess, holding the staff out before him like a shield. The prince nervously sidles up to the princess, her eyes open wide when she sees the object he holds and asks excitedly about it. He stammers an explanation and she nods throughout, but it is obvious he's losing her attention. He thrusts the bunch of blue flowers toward her, which she gasps in astonishment, but smiles and accepts them. For the first time, you notice that she has a twinkle in her eye while looking at the prince, and you sense that she's beginning to see the prince as something other than merely an elf or a prince, and more than a friend. She says nothing, however, and silence begins to expand. Then the prince whips out the book of poems and flips through it. He reads at random from a poem which speaks of a man's love for his favorite steed, but when he realizes the poem's subject matter, he immediately stops and moves on to another. But instead of being insulted, the princess giggles softly at the prince's boyish attempts to enchant her. But soon he finds a heart-rending poem that actually brings tears to the eyes of the princess. At the end of the reading, she throws her arms around the prince and kisses him. He drops the book and returns it. After a few minutes, a smiling prince wanders back over to you.
It worked! All of it! She has agreed to consider my courtship, and I owe it all to you, my friend, more than I can ever repay. But I will try. I know that you have a quest here, but I know not what it is. I will accompany and help you as I can, and perhaps I can give you some fraction of the happiness you have given me.
Alright. Cool. So, let's go ahead and head back to the Citadel. Now we got ourselves a bit of a companion here. Alright. We head north, west, and north twice. The forest is unnaturally still. There are no sounds of birds or animals. There's no wind. A young dwarf girl is tied to a tree with vines and looks desperate. Alright. Give the Book of Prian to...
I don't have any use for that. Thank you anyway, though.
Oh, what? Oh, wait, we need a... Oh, wait, we need the human princess. So, oops. We kind of need the human princess with us.
Greetings. My prince explained that you are a friend of his and that you helped bring us together. For that, I am indebted to you.
What do you think your father is going to say about your union?
I don't think he's ever considered the idea, but he has a lot of respect for the elves. After a little grumbling, I think he'll be happy for me.
The prince is a sweet guy, isn't he?
He's very sweet. A little naive, but all the more adorable because of it. I never really thought of elves that way, but he changed my mind.
Would you mind doing me a favor?
A favor? Certainly. What is it?
I was wondering if you'd accompany me somewhere. I need you to use your golden sword for a task.
Of course I'll help you. I can't imagine what task would require my golden sword. It's not much of a weapon, it's a symbol of leadership. But I'll be happy to accompany you.
Alright, cool. So now we have a full-on party.
Nice.
Princess, yeah. Do 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 do.
And now we head back to the Citadel. We head up here, and now we head back to the dwarf girl. We give the Book of Pyran to the human princess.
This is incredible. It's music from the ancients. What an amazing find. Would you like me to play it?
Yes, please.
Yes, start playing it now if you would.
Very well. Just tell me when to stop.
Alright. And then we cut the vines with our shear. You slip next to the struggling dwarf and pull out the garden shear. The Princess Melody appears to keep the giants at bay while you saw through the dwarf's bindings. The vines fall away just as the princess coughs and stops playing the flute. The forest erupts with the towering brutes, all racing towards you with murder in their eyeless faces. You grab the dwarf's hand and sprint off to the south. The crowded forest falls away, and when your party finally has reached the clearing, you notice that the giants have stopped following you. The dwarf girl gasps for breath. Her legs were obviously made for negotiating much shorter distances. After she recovers, she looks up at you, and naturally you expect the small creature to overwhelm you with gratitude.
Why did you rescue me?
What do you mean?
I mean, why would a party of 2 humans and an elf risk their lives to save a dwarf? It doesn't make any sense.
Why wouldn't we?
It just doesn't happen. We haven't even seen an elf for generations, and the humans we have seen have been content to keep as far from us as possible. It suits us fine. Humans and elves can keep their petty wars to themselves as far as we're concerned.
Because you were in trouble. Everyone should help out those in need.
Wow, you really helped me just because I needed help? That's so nice. I don't believe it.
And she wipes away a tear sneaking down her sideburns.
It's a custom among my people to give a favor in return for one, especially one as significant as saving a life. All you have to do is ask.
Alright. You don't have a seal piece, do you?
You don't have a seal piece, do you?
A seal piece? I don't even know what that is, much less have one. Maybe you could come up with something I could get for you?
Let's see. Well, if I asked the leaders for help.
I don't really want anything.
I'm afraid it's a tradition. The elders would have my hide if I didn't repay you in kind. Think about it a while. Perhaps you'll come up with something.
That's fine, but could I talk with you a while before I ask for anything?
Of course. What do you want to talk about?
Do you know anything about a golden hammer?
A golden hammer? I'm not sure. Wait, I think there's a golden hammer in the weapons vault. A few years ago, there was a false alarm. We thought that the Titans were attacking, so the elders ordered that the vault be opened. Everyone took up weapons and headed towards the forest. At that point, we realized we had been tricked. Some child got his rear tanned, and everyone went to replace their weapons. I was one of the first in the vault, and I noticed a golden hammer shoved way in the back. No one had taken it. I looked at it to find out why. The weight was all wrong, and I determined that it was actually forged of gold. Can you believe it? A soft metal like gold? One strong blow and the thing would flatten. I don't understand why anyone ever made such a useless weapon.
Because it's not actually meant to be a weapon.
Maybe the hammer wasn't meant to be used as a weapon.
Why would someone forge a hammer unless it was meant to be used? That doesn't make any sense.
Do you think you could get it for me? That could be my favor.
I don't think so. The only time the vault is open is in response to an attack by the giants. They never make exceptions. In fact, ever since the false alarm, they are more careful than ever to verify that the attack is genuine. They don't want dwarves harming themselves or others, either by accident or deliberately, by using these weapons. Some of them are very dangerous.
Could you go ask the elders if they'd make an exception? No one seems to want the hammer anyway.
I could ask, but I already know the answer. Nothing is going to open that vault except an attack from the giants, and I really hope that doesn't happen in my lifetime. I'll go, though. Wait here. I'll be back soon.
Alright, fair enough. The dwarf girl grabs the branch sticking out of the dead tree trunk and pulls it in an intricate motion, which you take the time to memorize. In response, a hidden door pops open. She ducks inside and scuttles downward into a tunnel. Alright. So, wait. And she steps out of the door, a little out of breath and dirtier for the trip.
It's just as I thought. The elders agree that I should fulfill my obligation, but they cannot open the vault unless we are at war. Have you thought of anything else you want?
Do the elders have any ideas?
No, they're still getting over the idea that I owe a favor to a human.
Could you take me to talk to them? Maybe I could convince the elders.
You don't know the elders. We tend to be a fairly stubborn people, and the elders
Oh,
are
you
about
heard.
as stubborn as they come. Besides, I don't think you would be able to fit inside the tunnel. Being little comes in handy sometimes.
I don't know about anything else. Perhaps we should talk a bit more.
Fine with me.
Alright.
How did you get captured?
I wandered into the forest of giants when I shouldn't have. I just wanted to see them. Everyone told me that they were actually bigger than humans. I didn't believe it until they jumped out of the trees and grabbed me. The giants don't bother anyone unless you go into their forest. They're pretty touchy about that. I'm just lucky they tied me up instead of stepping on me.
Do they normally squash intruders?
That's what the elders say, and no one's ever said differently. I thought maybe they were exaggerating just to keep us out of the forest, but maybe not. At least they only tied me up.
Tell me what you know about these giants.
Many generations ago, my ancestors dug their tunnels here. When they emerged from the ground to have a look around, they encountered the giants. They weren't friendly, and definitely not especially happy to meet us. Mayhem broke out. The dwarves weren't used to war, but they were quick studies. They forged weapons and battled the giants for years.
Of all things, this game's kind of beginning to kind of remind me of Metal Gear Solid. Brief intermissions of gameplay, and then just like an hour of talking.
One day, the giants suddenly stopped fighting. They drew back into the forest and remained there. As long as we stayed out, they left us alone. We keep the store of weapons in a vault, though, ready just in case the giants change
Unfortunately,
their
no
minds and
fish
attack.
and veil.
We also
Or,
have an interesting
you know what I mean.
legend
Yeah.
about the giants.
Hey.
Fish and bait.
Hey.
What do you know about the gem?
Supposedly, it's huge and crystal and has strange writings on it. Actually, it's not supposed to be all that valuable. Crystal's not worth much. You'd figure that something they guarded so fiercely would be worth more.
Has anyone ever been able to take the gem?
A long time ago, a dwarf named Lungput the Swift ventured into the forest. Somehow he made it to the center, into a clearing, and there, lying on the ground, he discovered the gem. He grabbed it and bolted for the city. Well, the giants followed him all right, but they caught him before he got anywhere near the city. He tried hiding behind trees and rocks anywhere out of sight, but the giants homed in on him as if he were a beacon. They took back their gem and squished poor Lungput. Since then, no one's ever come back out of the forest once they went in.
How far did you make it inside? Did you actually see the gem?
No, I never got anywhere near it. I didn't even mean to go as far as I did. One step inside the forest was enough for these big bullies. They grabbed me and tied me up. Didn't even say a word.
Enough about these giants.
All right, what else do you want to know?
Can you tell me anything about that building to the south?
Sure, it's the Great Shining City. No one ever enters and no one ever leaves. The front doors are closed and nothing can open them. We've even tried tunneling in. We just bounced off the floor. It's made of something we've never encountered before.
Let me introduce you to my companions.
The small dwarf greets your companions. The prince bows graciously, and the dwarf looks a little reserved, perhaps wondering if he's making fun of her height. She says a few words, and the prince appears a little taken aback by the dwarf's rough and direct comments. But they speak a bit more, and soon both are laughing and enjoying each other's company. The dwarf girl soon turns to the princess, and after initial pleasantries, the princess collapses into a coughing
That's
fit.
a nasty cough you've got there, princess. But I know a surefire remedy. It only requires 4 ingredients, and I've got one of them with me. Let's see. You'll need some dead man's friend, the meat from a zuzu nut, the roots of the plith plant, and the dried herbs that I carry.
Right?
What are you supposed to do with all of these things?
Just feed them to her. It all ends up in the same place. After she's eaten them all, she should have shaken off that nasty cough.
Let's see. Tim says if you think about it, these are basically proto-Fallout vaults.
Can I have those herbs?
Sure. I've got them here somewhere.
She paws through her dusty garments and emerges holding a handful of dried herbs. Smiling, she hands them over.
what the heck is Dead Man's Friend?
It's a fungus, a toadstool that tends to grow under carrion, dead bodies. That's why it's known as Dead Man's Friend.
Oh, well, we got some of that already. Now let's put the races in the scenarios where they have to figure out some moral lesson, like we're running a rat maze or something, says Tim.
Can you tell me about the Zuzu nut?
The nut is named after the Zuzu, a shy animal that survives on a diet of just the meat of the nut. It's considered a delicacy, and it's very hard to come by. The nut's shell is incredibly thick. It's almost impossible to open. The Zuzu has to be very strong just to crack them. I think you'll find a grove of the nuts off to the west. Good luck in getting at the meat.
Tim says it pleases the nut!
Where am I going to find a plith plant?
They're not rare. You should be able to find them anywhere.
That's one hard nut to
Plith
crack.
have pink flowers. If you see those, just pull up the whole plant. You should get the roots along with everything else.
Well, we got the pink flowers as well.
You think that this favor would make us even?
You think a simple cough remedy is worth my life? I owe you far more than that. You keep thinking about what you need. This is just being friendly.
Can we talk about some other things?
Sure.
Where do you live?
Why, right here. Well, under here, anyhow. We dwarves prefer to live underground. We have a network of tunnels that run for miles in all directions.
Alright.
Could we go back to the subject of the golden hammer again?
What do you need to know about it?
This is getting us nowhere. The only thing I need is the golden hammer. Could you go try again to get it?
Nothing's going to change. But if it will make you happy, I'll go back in and rack my brains. I'll try everything, and I won't come back out until I've got it. Don't get your hopes up.
Alright.
Very well. If you do somehow get the hammer, meet me at the Shining City. I need you to do something with it there.
Alright, so that's where we need it. She slips back into the golden hollow stump and closes the door behind her. Let's see. We could go ahead and let's head south and east. And we need the yellow petals and the nut. And oh, where is it now? It's right. And then we give the nut to the animal. Toss the nut up to the animal perched on the branch. A lightning-click claw snatches the nut from the air and tucks it close to its furry body, inserts two pointy talons in the hole in the shell, and exerts pressure. With a crack, the nut breaks open. The yellow petals, stuffed inside the nut, fly everywhere. One whiff makes it to the animal's nose wrinkle up, and evidently this isn't how its favorite food is supposed to smell, and it hurls the nut directly back at you. When it lands, the meat of the nut falls right out at your feet. Right, we take the nut meat. Alright. So we take the meats, herbs, the paint flour, and the toadstool. So she gives that to her. She takes the nut meat, give the herbs, give the toadstool, and we get the paint plant. And she gobbles it all down. She finishes her snack. She looks up in surprise. She breathes deeply, but her lungs are clear and her cough has disappeared.
Hurrah, she has been cured.
So now we go back to where we rescued the dwarf. Head north into the forest until we reach a central tree. Let's see. We'll look at the Titans. Yep. We're going to save. I'm about to do something dumb again. Attack the Titans. Armed with only the rope to shear, you rush at the gigantic, immense, huge, invincible Titans. To your credit, you actually get a couple of swipes before you find out what it's like to be a smear on the ground. Game over. Alrighty. So we're supposed to reach. Yeah. No hand or footholds. Talk to the elf
Yes,
prince.
my friend? What can I do for you?
Climb up this tree.
Nothing right now, but stick with me.
Sure.
Let's see. We need the princess.
Yes, my...
You're kind of scrawny for your age, aren't you?
I'm not scrawny. Elves are just naturally thinner than humans, and I'm still kind of young. When I'm full grown, I'll be taller than you.
Alright.
Do you know anything about the dwarves?
Before we met our new friend, I'd never actually seen a dwarf. But my father has. As king, he's spoken with their representatives on a few occasions. They tend to keep to themselves most of the time. They stay carefully neutral in any conflicts we have with the humans, and they're incredibly stubborn. No amount of persuasion will make them take sides. All in all, we usually leave them alone, and they do the same.
Do you know anything about the Citadel?
I'm afraid I've only heard that it exists, but I don't know anything about it. I'm sorry.
Nothing right now, but stick with me.
Sure.
Greetings, my friend.
Thanks, Princess. That's all I have to say.
Sure.
We can say, yeah, we can't take the vines. We went ahead and we've given her the,
Maybe you're supposed to wait more?
Maybe. But we're getting kind of close to where the top of the hour anyway, and I need to get ready to head for work anyhow, so we're gonna go ahead, we'll make a save here.
Oh wow, I didn't notice that late already. Yeah.
What do we want to go ahead and make this?
All we do is wait.
Alright, so we'll go ahead, we'll save that here for now.
Alright.
And we'll call that for here, because I'm a bit kind of stumped at where I'm supposed to go on, because from what I'm supposed to do, I'm supposed to get the elf prince to climb up one of the trees, but the guy I'm looking at doesn't say anything beyond, because we went to the dwarf girl, we gave the book of Pyran to the princess and have her play the melody. We cut the vines with the shear. We waited until the dwarf asked the elders for help. We got the herbs from her. We got the petals in the nut. We gave the nut to the animal. He pulled the nut meat out, and then we gave the herbs, the meat, the flowers, the pink. We gave the nut meat, the herbs, the pink flower, and the toadstools to cure her cough. And then the guy I'm looking at.
Were you supposed to give them to her in front of the dwarf girl?
Maybe not. It didn't say anything about doing that. It just said give it to her, give that stuff to the human princess. And then we went back to where we rescued the dwarf. But then it said head north into the forest until you reach a central tree. But then
you trying to get like an elf to climb something?
Yeah, the elf prince to climb the tree because he's supposed to bring us back a crystal.
Did you give him the rope?
No, actually, I didn't.
It says in order to get the elf to climb a tree, you need to find a rope or use a clothesline and tie it around a branch.
I may have to go back to the city then. So, all right. Well, we're not going to worry about that for right now. So,
there. Well, at least now you know for next time.
Yeah.
And knowing is half the battle.
Yep. So from here, I think we'll go ahead. I don't exactly know what I plan to do for Saturday. I could do more of this, but then I could also go ahead and do something else as well. Tim says, honestly, good old game, even if you're using a guide. It's those games that are about as good with the guide because it's otherwise a moonlight matching puzzle. Yeah. Let's say, yeah, like I said, this is a game that I have played, like, ages ago. Like I said, I don't fully remember everything. I could remember pretty much most of Arianis without needing the guide. At least up until the Brotherhood. Beyond the Brotherhood Tower, I was a little, like, I knew we would need to go back to Grapple Rothdigger and put the pipes together. And then from there, I was like, oh, wait, I think I was supposed to take the iron over to the Kixie Wenzi and then let that do. So, yeah, I can pretty much navigate most of Arianis without a guide, but then beyond Arianis, it's like, most of this is a jumble, and I don't remember what exactly I needed to do. So, I'm like, okay, let me pull up a bit of a guide here and kind of, like, look at this and see what, see what I'm supposed to do. So, but yeah, if I can't think of anything like a new project to start on Saturday, we'll just do more of this. We should be able to finish this up in at least a stream or two. Because we got Rest of Prioran, we got Abarak. Abarak's gonna fucking suck.
Well, I did mention before maybe we could do that Left 4 Dead 2 map as well.
That is true. Yeah, I wouldn't be against that. So.
Yeah, just at least the one map, and then if we have time, then you could do the Deathgate more of that if you want.
All right, well we'll look at that then. Right. So, all right. That being said, we're gonna go ahead and end things off for the night here. Thanks everyone for coming on by. This has been Mr. Ben.
This is Ray, Doug.
Yeah, I'm 21.
Wishing you all a wonderful, happy evening. We will see you guys on Saturday for whatever we do next. Until then, everyone, later.
Later, guys.
Night.